Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. For those about to talk, we salute you. Talk Radio.
Goodness gracious me. Busy show this evening. Tonight, your calls on anything, of course. We're also going to be raising awareness about spontaneous human combustion. And we've got someone from SOOT on, who, of course, Britain's leading charity on that. All of that and more coming up after the news at 10.
Late night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, we'll travel like that's old style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on.
There we go, you see. Then it goes there. It goes into an episode, I think. I mean, that doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't sound right to me, yet all the evidence is pointing to the Mandela effect. Spooky, huh? Tonight's show's going to be a busy one. We're going to, later on, we're going to play you an interview that we did ages and ages ago when we didn't have any listeners that you might not have heard with John Ronson, so that's exciting. Also after 11, we're going to be talking to David Franks from SOOT, the Society of Osmotic Thermalisation. What's osmotic thermalisation? Well, it's spontaneous human combustion. The reason we're talking about it, because I've got all these unexplained mags. If you're watching on Periscope, periscope.tv/Iain Lee. And as soon as I mentioned I had them all, everyone went, oh, spontaneous human combustion. And I've worked out why everyone said that, because it's in issue 1. It's the only issue you guys bought, you sad sacks. And I was reading it, and I thought, there we go, there's a picture of a body there on Periscope. And I was reading it, and I thought, well, you know, maybe we should have a little look into this kind of thing. So if you've got any stories of spontaneous human combustion, and can we take it seriously, please? Because people have died because of this. You know, people have lost mums and nans and children and stuff because of SHC. So I mentioned this on Twitter, and loads of you were getting, oh, it's not real. Well, you explain that. You explain how I'm looking at a picture of 2 legs and a foot. A bit of dress. You explain that. It is real. It's reaching epidemic proportions in some parts of the world, and it's probably the last great taboo when it comes to people's health. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be after 11. If you have a story, though, about spontaneous human combustion, 0844 499 1000 is the telephone number. And that's the number to call us about anything you want, really. Absolutely anything you want. It's that kind of show, guys, where you can call in about anything. Jamie's called in. Let's see what Jamie's called in for. Jamie, what have you called in for?
Hello, mate. I suggested the Jinx to you earlier. I saw you were watching it.
Oh, yes, the Jinx, the life... Hang on a minute, let me just... for those who don't know what it is...
Did you watch it all?
Hang on a minute, this is what it sounds like. Oh, no, that's the beginning of it. Wow, it's reset itself. No, I'm on episode 4. The Jinx, the life and deaths of Robert Durst, right? It's a TV series from America, from the HBO. You can watch it online. And he is a billionaire... who... Now, so don't give me any spoilers, Jamie.
I was going to say to not even mention... To not talk about any of it.
Whoa. Okay, well, we can say that he's linked... Well, we can say that he's been linked with a couple of disappearances and a murder, because the murder's like, boom, straight in episode 1. And that doesn't give away, I don't think, too much. But
You've got 2 brilliant episodes to come.
Whoa! It's good. It's 6 episodes long, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the thing is, the website I'm watching it on, which is legitimate, it has other videos next to it that I might be interested in, and they kind of give away what happened after the series went out on air.
That's the big bit. It'll still be good though.
It is bloody excellent. It's similar. It's like a cross between the How to Catch a Murderer. Was it Who Made a Murderer on Netflix and Foxcatcher?
I've not heard of Foxcatcher.
Whoa! Then, Jamie, my gift to you, my reciprocating gift to you, as you gave me The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst, I give to you, sir, steady, Foxcatcher. Not the movie starring Steve Carell, even though that's quite entertaining, but the documentary. It's a documentary movie that you can get. So watch that.
Right, yeah.
And you'll notice, you will notice almost immediately similarities between Robert Durst and I can't remember the name of the guy from Foxcatcher. It's a French-sounding name. Anyway, the similarities between the two of them.
All right, nice one, man.
Nice one. It's my gift to you, Jamie. I hope you enjoy. Cheers, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I appreciate that. It's a cracking documentary. What's the name in Foxcatcher? Not Duval. Is it Duval? We had, if you're watching on Periscope, welcome. I haven't got the headphones on. Let me play 30 seconds of headphone music. Hang on a second. Oh, here we go.
Singing, we're glad to be gay. Singing, we're happy this way. Hi. Singing, you're glad to be gay. Singing, you're happy this way.
Hey, perfect length of time to get round there, put their headphones on the telephone, bishy bashy boshy. There's a game. Who remembers bishy bash? Was it called bishy bashy boshy? It was just called bishy bashy. It was also, I think it also had a name, Double Bubble, didn't it? Where it was 2 of you playing, and it was you. I don't know what it was. Go and look it up yourselves. Jesus. Anyway, so if you're watching on Periscope, welcome. And we started off with like hundreds of people watching on Periscope. And the reason is, I may have slightly mislabeled it when I said Spontaneous Human Combustion Live. That might have... and I don't want to give ideas to the terrorists, but really, they need to up their game a bit, don't they? If they want to get the public on their side... They really need to start using modern technology. And why haven't they done? And I'm not making light of this. It sounds like I'm making light. I'm doing it in my making light voice. This is a genuine question, right? Why haven't ISIS done an attack on Periscope? I don't mean hacked into Periscope like they did. Do you remember? It was about 2 years ago. And it was ISIS, or it may have been Al-Qaeda. I can't remember which one. And they said, right, you have to... I won't do the voice, for obvious reasons. They said the way to beat the decadent West is to hack into their computers and their infrastructure. It was ISIS. And the ISIS people went, we'll hack into their computers and their infrastructure. Now, what they meant, of course, was, like, the government and the things... Hive. You know Hive, the thing from British Gas that controls... like your heating and stuff like that. They meant that. But what ISIS did was they hacked into a bus timetable for Devon. It was a Devon bus timetable. And I think they also hacked into a website for renting farms, like for holidays. What the hell are you guys doing? They need a head of IT. ISIS IT. But it does surprise me that they've not done one of their horrific attacks and streamed it on Periscope. Here's a question for you, right? This is a genuine question. 0844 499 1000, right? You're surfing Periscope, right? Looking for something to watch that night, right? It pops up. Oh, ISIS are doing a live attack let's say in America, okay? Now, here's genuine question. Genuine question. Would you watch it? I suspect that a significant number of people would. I think the people you saw... Oh, ISIS do an attack in Nebraska. That's in America, isn't it, Nebraska? Click on that. Oh, that is... I think people would. Because we're weird like that, aren't we? We're very weird like that. Let's go to Kevin. Good evening, Kevin.
Hello there.
Hip, 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 Kev. What you got for us, boss?
I've got a story about human combustion.
Oh, was it spontaneous?
No.
Aye.
No, but it does share a lot of the... I remember that page from that magazine you tweeted as well.
Yep.
I remember being scared myself as a kid of suddenly bursting into flames.
It's terrifying. I'm not going to retweet that image because someone wants, but it is. It is terrifying. And the thing is, it gets treated as a joke. It's that thing from the 80s and stuff. And people are trying to. People say, it can be explained scientifically. You explain to me how someone can burn to ash, but yet their legs and their extremities and a bit of their dress don't burn. Explain that. That
actually kind of happened to my wife's uncle.
Wow.
Except we got to take away the spontaneous bit. Which, but it wasn't just a house fire. So the similarities are we've got he did burn at like incredibly intense heat.
Right.
And like the photos, the surrounding area was left untouched, sort of thing, and there was only a little bit left of him remaining.
Well, hang on a second. We've got a spokesman on from SOOT later on. Have you spoken to anyone at SOOT about this?
No, my wife's done a bit more research into it. I mean, she spoke to quite a lot of people. Apparently, this is still incredibly rare.
May I ask what happened? And thank you for taking it seriously. And shame on everybody on Twitter who's having a good ruffle and all of that stuff. Shame on you. Go on.
Okay. Well, he lived by himself, and he was an engineer that may have been. He was sat next to a gas fire.
Yeah.
And which was the source of the ignition, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Speculation, there may have been like some fuel on his clothes or something that made him ignite, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then there's a thing that comes into play, which is, I don't know too much about it, but it's called the wick effect.
The wick effect. Yeah.
Which is, basically, he is the fuel and he burns like a candle.
Yeah.
And he burns himself out, sort of thing, at incredibly high temperatures, much higher than a normal house fire.
What happened? Was it your uncle, your wife's uncle?
It was my wife's uncle.
Your wife's. Yeah. So what happened to your wife's uncle? Right, was a tragic accident. I mean, just an horrific accident.
Yep.
But that can't explain when it happened spontaneously. That's the thing, isn't it?
And that's the question I think is. And it's never really been answered if that definitely does happen, or if there is always a source.
Yeah.
But there are still very rare things that happen here. They speculate that there's like a build-up of gases inside, and he was quite a large man. Possibly the fat acts as like a fuel.
Yeah.
But it's certainly nothing. It's nothing like a normal house fire. And the official verdict was human combustion. As I say, the rest of the house was untouched except for covered with ash and stuff, sort of thing. But nothing else burned.
Well, isn't that we're going to be speaking to David Franks from the Society of Osmotic Thermalisation later on. Slightly different to your case because he was sat next to a fire and it was a tragic accident and horrific. But when it happened spontaneously, boy oh boy, Alan, if ISIS were streaming an horrific, this is a genuine question, right? An horrific attack, would you watch it?
No, I don't think I would.
If you didn't know,
I don't like watching any of that sort of stuff.
I don't like watching that real stuff. I don't like it when they put in the papers pictures of bodies and stuff like that. I don't like. When I was at the BBC, someone was watching one of those beheading videos, and I got quite angry because I had to walk past his computer, and I could see the fella in the orange jumpsuit kneeling there. I went, "Oh, come on, man! You can't watch that in an open office."
No,
you've got to, if you're going to show that, then it's got. If you're going to watch that, go and watch it in a cupboard somewhere.
It's like someone coming up to you with their phone and go, "Oh, look, you've got to see this, watch this." You're like, man, I really didn't want to watch that. The clips that people show you on their phones are either extreme pornography or extreme violence. Yeah.
Or their kids.
I think that's a good... Yeah, it's good advice. Just don't watch it. If someone says watch this, don't watch it.
Kevin, thank you very much indeed. If someone says watch this, you've got to see this. The odds are you ain't got to see this. Yeah? Right, OK. 0844 499 1000. Alan, you'll be on after this.
Late night Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
0844 499 1000. Caddick!
Hip, hip, hip,
hip, Caddick!
I've got some good news to relay to you tonight.
Oh, what's this? You're not calling in anymore?
Wrong, it's about my mum.
Oh, she's going to start calling in.
No, she's coming out of hospital on Wednesday.
Yes! Hang on a minute, I've got some celebratory music. Don't go, don't go, don't go, don't go, don't go, don't go.
George, you're a fanny.
No, don't go.
No, George.
With his head.
No. Here we go.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Say it again.
My mum's coming out of hospital on Wednesday.
Let's hope she's not feeling as hot as somebody who's suffering from spontaneous human combustion would be feeling. I've just realised how inappropriate that music is considering what we're talking about tonight. Wonder if anyone's spontaneously human combusted on Periscope. I wonder if anyone's actually had sex live on Periscope. I wonder if anyone has ever done anything interesting on Periscope.
No, that's a topic.
Periscope.
No, I just made a bit of a blunder there, hacking into that bus timetable.
They did that. They backed into what table? A buffet table?
No, the bus timetable. They hacked into it.
Oh yeah, they hacked into the bus time. Well, in fairness to ISIS, it did cause a little bit of confusion in Cornwall. So, I suppose that's better than going around with those belts and those vests, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, I was watching a drama last night on the terrestrial channel.
Oh, yeah?
Argyll with Michelle Keegan.
Hey, why not? All the other shows on here are a bit blokey and a bit laddish, even especially mid-morning. So, Michelle Keegan. I don't know who she is.
She played Tina in Coronation Street.
Tina Hobley?
No, Tina McIntyre.
I don't know who that is.
Well, she's married to Mark White from Towie, anyway.
She's married to your wife from Towie?
No, Mark White.
The chef, Marco Pierre White, having a lot of bad luck recently.
No.
No? He is.
Mark.
He is.
No.
He is. I've read about it. His mate was at a sex party and got robbed. His son has done something naughty, we don't know what. Some of his restaurants are in a bit of trouble, and he wants to build another restaurant, and they found skeletons there.
Which is the first?
I think we found Richard I and Richard III. I don't think we have 2, 4 and 5.
No, that would be interesting if I went to the second.
Here's a thing, Alan. Here's a thing, right? Who's your favourite classical composist?
It has to be Mozart.
Of course it is. Everyone's favourite. He has got a brand new box set coming out, right? This is true. 200 CDs, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's supposed to be stunning. So we go to Amazon, right? And for some reason, I was looking at this last night. It popped up on my Twitter feed. I follow this website called The Second Disc, which is a great website, and they're very kind about my record releases. So I kind of follow them, and this popped up in my thing, right? So I thought, I'll have a look at this. So I went to Amazon and I typed in Mozart box, right? 200. You're not masturbating to this, are you, Alan?
No.
Because that would be really weird.
No.
So 200 CDs, right?
Yeah.
£300.
Yeah.
And 50 pence.
Blimey.
Now, part of me's thinking, because I like box sets, right? And if I get into a band or a composist, I don't just buy, like, their greatest hits. I buy everything. Right? So part of me thought, that's quite good. That works out at about £1 and a penny per CD. Or so I don't know. You do the maths. I'm not a mathematician. But then, right, there's a Mozart. Right, so this is called Mozart, the new complete edition, right? But then you go back 2 years to Mozart, the complete edition, not the new complete edition, right? The complete edition, right?
Yeah.
Now that's that's got 170 CDs. So if you bought Mozart, the complete edition 2 years ago, 170 CDs, you think, oh, that's it. I've got all my Mozart. I bet people have only listened to 2 of those CDs, right? But I've got all the CDs. Then 2 years later, you're online. You go, oh, bloody Mozart, the new complete edition. That's got an extra 30 CDs of Mozart's.
Probably unreleased material.
But here's yeah, exactly, like outtakes and demos and stuff. Maybe some live stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a live DVD of him as well. Right. But so Mozart, the new complete edition, is £300.50.
Yeah.
Mozart, the complete edition, is £58.73.
Blimey.
So here's the thing, Alan. Would you buy Mozart, the new complete edition that's got 30 extra CDs of outtakes, demos and collaborations for £300.50? Or would you buy Mozart Complete Edition, 170 CDs, 30 CDs less, but it's also about £262 less, but you would know, even though you would never play any of the CDs, you would still know that there were 30 more CDs out there somewhere. What would you do, Alan? What would you do? I
would go for the 200 CDs and give them as a Christmas present for someone.
Hey! Well, that is very kind, mate. I look forward to receiving it, Alan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for calling. Excellent. You heard that, guys. You heard that. That's actually... genuinely, something's happened to my screen, so I can't see my texts. I don't like my texts, but I do like having the screen in a very certain way. So we're going to close down Phone Box. That always works well. And then we're going to open Phone Box. No, we're not. Come on. Open. We're going to do it from down there. Phone Box. Get in there, sunshine. Have it. Have it. Iain Lee. Have it. Large. Yeah, we got the messages back. 0844 499 1000. It's a tough question, isn't it? It's a tough question. Mozart, the new complete edition, £300.50. Mozart, the complete edition, but it's not complete. It should be Mozart, the incomplete edition, £58.73. Used, that's a used one. Used. You know no one's going to play it. I remember one of the best things I ever got, and then I got rid of it, and now I wish I hadn't got rid of it, was the Laurel and Hardy DVD box set. Now, it wasn't complete, right? It wasn't all of the Laurel and Hardys, but it was going for £100 when it came out, and my mum bought it for me. And I must have opened, I'm going to say there were 60 DVDs now, I don't know. But I opened a total of 4 of those DVDs in there. And I didn't even watch all of the stuff that was on those DVDs. And I had this thing sitting around forever. And then I don't know what, I must have sold it on eBay. You wouldn't chuck that away. I must have sold it on eBay. And now I longingly remember back to when I owned most of, but not all, of the Laurel and Hardy films on DVD. Here's the thing. Laurel and Hardy made some turkeys. They actually made some turkeys. When they got older and they left, I can't remember what studio they were with, but they were with one studio for years and years and years and years and years. And then they left, and then I think they went to Warner Brothers or something. And the films were written and directed by different people who didn't understand what made Laurel and Hardy funny. And they're really weird. And I've seen bits of them. And there's a weird one where it's in the 50s and Stan Laurel's saying stuff like, it's all like, what's hep, Daddy-O? They actually use the phrase, what's hep, and Daddy-O. But, like, not even as a joke. That's the words that they want Stan Laurel to say. And then their last film is a stinker. It's heartbreaking. Atoll K. They couldn't get a film made in America, so they went to Europe. And they did one of those films like Clint Eastwood did. You know, the spaghetti westerns. It's not a spaghetti western. But they did a film where I think all of the actors were speaking Italian. I would say Italian and French. They were all speaking different languages. And then it was dubbed over. And also, they both looked really old. Hardy had lost a lot of weight and didn't look good on it. It's a heartbreaking film, but one that I really recommend you watch. This is Iain Lee on Talk Radio. 0844 499 1000.
Late night conversation worth losing sleep over.
Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Yes. Very hot, very sweaty, very sticky, very warm today, wasn't it? Last of the summer wine, because was that the thunderstorm we had earlier on? Because it lasted. I must have driven through it because it lasted about 45 seconds. 45 seconds of a hard rain's gonna fall, and it was like really deep rain, and I saw a poor guy in a suit getting splashed as I drove past him. That was bad. You know, it's illegal. It's illegal to splash someone on the pavement when you're in a car. You know, and you're in a car and there's a puddle, and there's a... That's illegal. Oh, jog on, copper. Jog on, copper. Sorry, cop. You going to arrest me for that? Arrest me for that, then. Because that is nonsense. That is one of life's little pleasures. And yes, I've been on the receiving end of it, and I've got angry, and then I've gone, but I bet they enjoyed that. I bet they really enjoyed that. It's beautiful. And it doesn't count if it's an accident. It's got to be deliberate. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point in it? And you can actually be arrested for splashing through a puddle and getting someone wet. Oh, get a life. Why don't you go out there and catch sexual deviants and paedophiles? Go on, copper. That's what I'd say if I ever got arrested by one. I wouldn't beg for clemency and apologise profusely. I'd say, why don't you go out there and catch a nonce? Go on. And what if a copper had any sense, he'd say, well, maybe I just have. You're double nicked. And I'd say that was brilliant. That was actually a very funny... In fact, it's funny you should say that because... I did a joke about that on my radio show one night. And he'd say, this is still the joke. And I'd say, whoa, trippy, man, trippy. Speaking of trippy, man, imagine this guy on LSD 25. It's Nigel from Maidstone.
Hi, Iain.
Oh, a little bit of... How
are you today?
Oh, I'm hot.
Yeah, I did 30 miles cycling out to Penzo's. I did 30 miles.
You went to Penzo's?
It was a bit hot for cycling, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is nuts, mate. Speaking of nuts, how are yours? You've lost what?
£2.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm sure we can have a whip around and get you £2 back.
No, I mean on the scales. Yeah.
Oh, you mean weight, not...
Yeah, £2 on the scales. But I mean, that isn't very much, considering how hot it was, is it, really?
Here's the thing. I regularly go to either Cafe Nero, which is my favourite of those chains, or if I don't want to pay parking, there's one nearer me called Costa, which I'm not so keen on because in Nero, you get the card and they stamp it, right?
Yeah.
And you get 9 stamps, you get the 10th drink free. I understand that. In Costa, they give you like a plastic credit card.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how that works. I've not activated mine. So in the long run, I'm going to be losing out. But here's the thing. I was in there and I forgot to take a book with me. I was going to take the new Monkeys book. The Monkeys, Head in the 60s.
You mean?
Costas. The Monkeys, Head in the 60s, right, by a guy called Peter Mills, right? Now, I helped Peter. I put him in touch with... I can remember putting him in touch with one person, maybe 2 people.
Yeah.
Listen, can I read you something, Nigel?
Yes.
We go to the acknowledgements. The acknowledgements. Let me read you the acknowledgements from an actual book. Can I read it to you?
Yes.
There are many people to whom I owe a debt of thanks in the preparation and writing of this book. Firstly, this is Peter Mills who's written this book. I'd like to thank Chip Douglas, and Bobby Hart for so graciously giving me so much of their time and answering my very many questions. I'd also like to thank Harold Bronson and Bill Inglot for their kindness in talking with me and discussing their own passion for music. So far, so what? It continues.
I don't know any of those people.
What?
I've not heard of any of those
okay.
names.
Well, shall I carry on reading and see if you shout, if you hear a name you recognise. My hat is tipped to Iain Lee.
Yes.
No, what was the noise you got to make?
Oh, I've forgotten.
Oh. You'll go, oh.
Oh, yeah, oh.
Right, but you'll do, oh.
Oh, yes, oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
My hat is tipped to Iain Lee.
Oh, yes.
The UK's #1 monkey maniac. He modesty forbids me to read out the rest. So, Catherine, could you come in and read out the rest, me, please? Thank you. Stay there, Nigel.
Yeah.
I'm too modest. I can't read this, but Catherine will read it for me. You can use that microphone, Catherine. Put on. You don't need headphones. Just read it out, and then. Okay, get close to the microphone so all the boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen hear you. Keep quiet,
Iain
Nigel.
Lee. My hat is tipped to Iain Lee.
Read it properly. And what is it? What do they call it? Project.
All right.
Project.
I need the headphones.
There we go. Put your headphones on. There we go.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
My hat is tipped to Iain Lee, the UK's #1 big head.
Hey, that's not what it says.
Oh.
That is a book.
Okay,
that is a proper book.
all right.
Read it properly.
All right. Oh, blimey, there's loads.
Yeah, continue, Evu.
Did you write this?
Shut up.
My hat is tipped to Iain Lee. Yeah, you know that guy.
Do the noise, but do it properly.
I'll do it again. Hang on, ready? My hat is tipped to Iain Lee.
Oh.
Eh? Oh.
Oh, stop it.
Oh. It's a Nigel and Iain sandwich. Come on, read it out. Come on, because modesty...
Only if you'll stop doing that.
Modesty prevents me from reading it out myself.
Nigel, try to be a little bit less sensual.
I think he's spent now.
More relaxing.
He's empty.
Not quite so sensual.
Little Nigel has gone to sleep.
Oh, dear.
He's had a little cry, and he's gone to sleep.
I want to thank Iain.
Hang on.
Hang
on. My hat is tipped to Iain Lee, the UK's #1 monkey maniac.
This guy. Oh.
Do you know what that
Ed, hang on a minute. Ed, can you come turn this microphone on, Ed? And can you come in for a second? Because you're not doing it properly, Catherine.
But he's creeping me out.
No. You're not doing it properly. Ed, don't sit down, please, because I think you need... If you read that, put your headphones on, Ed, because... Right, we'll try it again, Catherine and Nigel. Right, so you read it properly, and you listen, Catherine. And Catherine, could you do me a favour? When he says my name, if we could all go, not you, Ed, that'll be weird.
I don't want...
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Firstly, I'd like to thank Chip Douglas.
We've done that bit, mate.
Cool.
We've done that bit.
Forget that guy.
Where has he been the last 5 minutes? He's been using our internal phone system to call New Zealand to speak to Ma and Pa for free.
They say hi, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, send them my love. Right. Here we go.
My hat is tipped to Iain Lee.
I tell you, it makes...
Oh, I feel really creepy.
Do you know what that noise does to me?
What?
Makes my ovaries shrivel.
All right.
And that's how babies are made.
Shall I try it again?
If you're at home, if you're a lonely person at home, why don't you sit on your speaker now? Away you go.
My hat is tipped to Iain Lee, the UK's #1 monkey maniac.
That's the guy. No, he's done.
Stop it now!
This isn't working. None of you are taking this.
Let me do it again.
No.
Go on, I'll do it properly.
All right, do it properly. This is your last chance. Ed, you got to do the sex noise now.
Oh.
Look at your phone. Your phone is ridiculous. Is that actually your watch?
Watch.
Is that telling the time, or has it just got a sticker on it?
It's telling the time.
It's a ridiculous thing. Right.
My hat is tipped to Iain Lee. The UK's #1 monkey maniac. He very kindly facilitated introductions for this book, but more broadly deserves the thanks of every fan of the group. Wow. Yeah. What did you do for this guy?
No, mate, I did not do that.
For his efforts to keep the band's name alive on his various radio programmes over the years. And more recently via his 7A Records project, which has already delivered bounty to monkey fans worldwide.
Even with the sarcastic tone in your voice. And now, where you going? We're not finished. Round of applause, please. Now we've finished. Out you go. You see, Nigel?
Yeah.
I'm in a book, mate. I'm in a phone booth, it's the one across the hall. If you don't answer it, I know I'll never call. I'm in a book, mate. I'm in an actual book.
Yeah.
There it is. Nigel.
Well done.
Well done indeed. Well, thanks for calling, Nigel.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Excellent stuff. 0844. Oh, did we get to the point?
Yes, I want to thank you for doing my album, the album you released yesterday.
Well, it's dropping. What's the date today? It's dropping. It's supposed to drop. It says on iTunes now. I've got it up now. It says dropping tomorrow. We've had 32 5-star reviews, and the album hasn't even dropped.
You haven't sold any yet?
No, mate, because it drops tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it was... No, but the other thing's out. The Lindsay Lohan one's out already.
No.
The single.
No.
Oh.
Would you like to hear some of the reviews?
Yes. Is it Rick what you got to read it?
These are some 5-star reviews. Hoverboard Henry on iTunes writes, Wow, I just wish to God that I could have my marriage party again. The sausage rolls, baps and baby sham with the added spice of this wonderful album. Thank you to the talented people involved. Lindsay Lohan is an instant classic full of love, lust and horn. And can I just say, Nigel, it's been brought to my attention, this is actually genuinely serious, right, that Lindsay Lohan she's quite litigious over uses of her image. So we refer to this as Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. Here's another one from Artyman82. Being a titty man myself, I like to watch the strumming of a guitar as an added bonus. Now, luckily, Ian's not a... Oh, OK. OK, Bob, give us your flipping money, Geldof. Now, buy this like me and help Geezer out. Pete actually says, I don't know what that means. These 3 tracks that will change your life. Miley Styley features some of the best rap in the charts. I'm a Titty Man is my pick of the pops with its catchy lyrics, but the chorus of Lindsay Lohan is anthemic. You wrote that bit. Every track has the potential to become the 2016 Christmas #1. Incredible music talent from the DC DJ, Iain Lee, and Nigel from Maidstone. 5 stars would recommend.
The album cover's nice as well.
No, we didn't go with that.
Oh.
It's a picture of me.
Well, I saw it on iTunes earlier.
What, the picture of me with a beard?
No, earlier there was a picture, first picture you did.
No, that one, we couldn't use it because listen, it's really...
Lindsay Lohan in it.
Lindsay who?
The picture of Lindsay Lohan at the side.
I don't know what she's got to do with this project.
But no, she's in the actual song, isn't she?
No, she's not! Lindsay Lohan is, not...
They did put a picture up, first of all.
Yeah, but that picture isn't on iTunes. No.
Anyway, thank you for doing the album.
You're very welcome. 0844 499 1000.
The radio show for people who know the best part of the day is the night.
Late night Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
If you're wondering, yes, Nigel from Maidstone, myself, Barry from Watford, and the DC DJ have all contributed to an EP. And you can buy it on iTunes. It drops tomorrow. And I've just tweeted the link if you're following me, at Iain Lee. Ray's on... Oh, no. Ray's on the line. Good evening, Ray.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ray. What you got for us?
Well, I think I've told you this before. Well, actually, I was going to ask, we're allowed to talk about the monkeys, aren't we?
We are allowed to, but not too much, because someone did mention ages ago, you don't have to go on about them a lot, so I'm being deliberately trying to talk about them less. But you brought it up spontaneously, so I've got to.
Okay, well, as long as it's not unbongoed. But anyway, I'm a mobile DJ, and I buy these compilations that are compiled especially for DJ use.
What do you mean? Compilations that are compiled specially for DJ use? What is that? What, are they all mixed together?
Well, no, individual tracks, but for DJ use, effectively.
Well, hang on, why can't I use them?
Well, I don't. It's to do with the licensing.
So, hang on a minute. You buy a record...
Yeah.
And you get the licence to play it with it?
It's these specific compilations are only licensed for DJ use.
You are talking... how much do they cost?
Well, actually, they can cost a pretty decent amount. I mean, this one here, I've got a single disc. It's £12.50. There's 23 tracks on it.
Why don't you just burn stuff off of the internet and for free illegally and use that?
No, because I do things properly.
All right, well, why don't you go down to Our Price or your local record retailer and just buy, like, stuff from the bargain bin?
Do they exist?
Why don't you just get Jive Bunny and put that on? The Jive Bunny album, not the single.
Well, anyway, back to the topic. One of these compilations actually features the Monkees song, You Bring the Summer.
Oh.
Yeah, a nice little bit of promotion for that song.
But I've got it. I could have I could have taped it and sent it to you.
Yes, I know, and I bought the Good Times album myself, but it's nice to see that,
his master's voice must see you striding down the street and rub, what's the dog called? Nobby, must be rubbing his paws with glee when you stride into there.
Well, it's all about the promotion of this Monkees song.
Isn't it just? Isn't it absolutely just?
Because it was quite a while ago it was released as a single, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it was. Written by Andy Partridge of XTC fame, of course.
Yeah, and a terrific song.
I've got a hole in my shirt now, have I? Oh. This is my favourite. Someone just emailed saying you've got a hole in your shirt behind your right armhole. Oh, no, I have. Look, this is my favourite shirt. Oh, no.
Well, pretty much all your shirts are checked, aren't they?
Yeah, but this... oh, no. I've had this shirt for years. It's my favourite shirt, right? And the thing is, because I'm putting on weight. And so my shirts are a little bit tight around the old... it's time... They're a little bit tight around the old armholes. And this shirt... I've had this shirt for so many years. I used to host Set the Agenda in it. It was my lucky shirt. And it's really thin now because I've been wearing it for so many years. And, there we go, dumped. That's annoying. Oh, that's annoying. Anyway, if only, Ray, we still had darning skills these days, because I could fix this. But instead, I'm going to rip it off.
Oh dear, the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end? The end of the beginning?
Learn to let go.
Sometimes when some people say, oh, it's the beginning of the end, or is it the end of the beginning, I can get lost for an hour trying to work out what that means. Do you know what I mean? It's a delicious phrase.
Went about that back in '82.
Who did that? What?
Yeah, do you remember Classics Nouveau?
The name rings a bell. Is this on a £12.99 DJ-only CD?
No, this was, Sal Solo was the lead singer.
Sal Solo! Jeez! You're the only person that remembers Sal Solo. Big, tall, bald fella, wasn't he?
Yeah, who found Christianity.
He founded Christianity, did you say?
Well, he found it, he found God.
He had a solo hit. What was Sal Solo's solo hit? It was like, it wasn't P.A. Yezu, although that was it was in a church. It was him singing in a church. Sal Solo, hang on a minute. Sal Solo.
San Damiano.
There we go. Hang on a second. Hang on, here we go. He looks like Right Said Fred. There's a choir boy with makeup on. That's weird. No, that's not the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, anyway, Classics Nouveau, they did a song called The End or the Beginning.
Do you remember... hang on a minute. I'm trying to picture them. It was like a classical band, an orchestra, but they had masks on, like reflective masks. They weren't hooked on classics. It was, they played like disco versions of classical music.
Really?
What was that? What were they called?
It wasn't Hooked on Classics.
I don't think it was Hooked on Classics.
Because that was Louis Clark.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it was Hooked on Classics. They had a name. Not Manhattan Transfer, because they were Chants en l'amour. I heard them being interviewed on something the other day, and they were really angry that that's what they were known for. They said, but that's unlike any of our other material. And now it got me thinking, I wonder what their other material is, but it didn't make me think enough to go and look it up.
Spice of Life was their other hit.
No, that was the Spice Girls, mate. Rondo Veneziano. They were the dudes with the masks on. Do you remember Rondo Veneziano?
I don't.
Rondo Veneziano. Right, listen to this, because I'm sure they did, like disco version. Oh, here we go. I remember this. Look, it's done. It's a cartoon video, right? It's done by the same guy, I think, that did Watership Down. It certainly looks like it. Here we go.
Oh, La Serenissima.
Here we go. Yeah. Cotton Joe, Cotton Joe. Is it Cotton Joe? Here we go. Oh! This video used to terrify me. Oh my God! They're floating in the sea in classical garb, but they've got no faces. Oh, dude. Well, that's brought back a little bit of teenage, not even teenage, childish terror. If anybody wants to know more about Rondo Veneziano, I'm going to be tweeting it in a few minutes.
OK, well, there's plenty of homework for us to get on with.
Exactly, Ray. Thank you very much indeed. Mike, good evening, Mike.
Hi, Ian.
How are you doing, boss?
I'm all right, buddy, yeah. Do you know, I was just reading. I was going to ask if you want me to read out the acknowledgement which you posted on Twitter with a bit more gusto.
Yes,
they were a bit
mate, modesty prevents me from reading it out loud myself. So, yeah, that would be great, actually. Thanks.
Before I do that, though, I think there's... I'm not a proofreader or an author. I think there's a grammatical error in the acknowledgements.
What? Whoa.
If you look where it says...
Where's the grammatical error? I've got the acknowledgement.
So, yeah, he very kindly facilitated introductions for this book, but is a conjunctive, a conjunction. There isn't meant to be a comma before it.
Oh, this book is absolute bull. Well, that's it. Don't buy The Monkey's Head in the 60s by Peter Mills. Don't buy. What are you saying? Catherine's getting angry now. You've
me?
Yeah. At you.
Well, I'm angry at her for mocking you.
Whoa, what's wrong?
That's a subordinate clause. You're allowed to do that.
So this book is correct?
Yeah.
All right, in that case, please go back online and buy The Monkey's Head in the 60s by Peter Mills. It really is a great read, unlike Mike, who is a terrible reader. So, Mike, I'm gonna pass on you reading my acknowledgement, mate, because...
I'm going to do it in an X-Factor voice.
No, mate. I don't think... I only want intelligent people to be associated with me from now on, and that was a terrible faux pas you made there. I, of course, recognise the mistake that you were making. I allowed you to walk into my comma trap. Hey, does it ever stop being funny, Mike, when Americans say period?
No.
Oh, come on, it's brilliant. It means a full stop. But we don't go, when we make a point, we don't go, and the same thing goes for Christmas, full stop. We don't do that.
Some people do.
But they do. The Americans go, and the same thing goes for Christmas, period. And I just can't stop thinking about when Joanne Laws told me what a period was when I was 9 years old.
I wonder what she's up to now.
Yeah, so do I. She was the first girl... Well, everyone fancied Joanne Laws, but then her parents split up, and her mum got remarried, and she came into school and she changed her last name to Hill, and we all got to talk about why she had a different name and why we had to treat her. We of course ribbed her mercilessly. That's what kids do. We smelt all weakness and we pounced on it. But yeah, I wonder.
You should find her. I found this website today. It's Cutting Edge.
Friends Reunited. I found it, mate. It must be in the zeitgeist, because someone pointed me in that direction the other day. Yeah, it's good, that, and it's people from school and stuff.
Yeah, good investment by ITV, that. I've got a really quite scary story about spontaneous human combustion.
Well, Michael, in that case, do you mind straddling the news?
I don't mind.
I tell you why. Because A, it's a funny phrase for me to say, and B, because we've got David Franks from the Society of Osmotic Thermalisation coming on, and I'm sure he'd love to hear your story.
That's good. I'd like to hear his stance on it.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Well, Mike, you stay there. Yeah, we're going to be, I was going to say, celebrating spontaneous human combustion, SHC. Of course, that's completely the wrong phrase. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about it and speaking to someone who's, I think, been personally affected by it, and try and find, just try and raise awareness. You mention it, and people joke about it and laugh about it. I mentioned it on Twitter, and people, it's not real. Oh, it's not real. The Wick effect. Oh, it's not real. Well, it is real, and it affects between 0 and 100% of citizens of North America every year. And we'll be talking about it after the news. If you've got a story, if you've been affected by it, do give us a call, 0844 499 1000. We call you back. You can still call in about other bits and pieces, but if you're calling in about SHC, you will be jumping straight to the front of the queue. That all-important telephone number you need to dial is 0844 499 1000. Hit the numbers now, you will get through. And I've checked, and he's not copyrighted that, so I might copyright it, and then what's James O'Brien going to say? Huh?
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
A new kind of talk radio. We'll get you talking. Talk radio.
Do give us a call, 0844 499 1000, with your spontaneous human combustion stories, SHC. We'll hear Mike's story, and then we'll speak to David Franks from SOOT. I'm Iain Lee, this is Talk Radio.
Late night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone past with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
So I bought the entire series of The Unexplained magazine for £4.50. You don't know what The Unexplained magazine is? Oh, hang on a second. Where's... All my bits have gone to... here we go.
So much in our universe just cannot be explained, but just cannot be ignored. Events and phenomena, past and present, defy so-called rational explanation. How much do we really know, and how much are we allowed to know? Now, week by week, a new publication examines new evidence and explores the theories. The Unexplained, at newsagents now.
And it's pretty scary stuff. Well, you're looking at some. If you're listening to last night's show, some pretty terrifying stories. The one that you all remember, of course, is the spontaneous human combustion story. The reason why it was in issue 1, everyone got issue 1, and some people got bored. But it's actually terrifying. Let me read some of the Unexplained. Their entry on spontaneous human combustion. Perhaps the most common characteristics of SHC is the sheer speed with which it strikes. Many victims were seen alive only a few moments before the fire struck from nowhere. An Italian surgeon called Battaglio reported the death of a priest in the town of Filetto in 1789. Lodging with his brother-in-law, he'd been left alone in his room reading a prayer book. A few minutes later, he screamed. People came running to find him on the floor, surrounded by a pale flame which receded as they approached. The priest, Bertoli, wore a sackcloth under his clothes next to his skin, and it was immediately apparent that the outer clothes had burned away, leaving the sackcloth intact. Under the sackcloth, the skin on the man's trunk was not burned, but detached from the flesh and hung in shreds. So it's a serious, serious thing. Lots of people have been very snooty about it on Twitter. It's not real. It's not real. Well, it is real. It's a very serious issue, and it's an issue that is I think, ignored quite a lot. Very pleased that we've got David Franks from SOOT on the line. Good evening, David.
Good evening.
Tell me about SOOT, David. What is it, and did you start it?
No, I didn't. SOOT stands for Society of Osmotic Thermalisation. It was started in 1987 by Kevin James, whose mother died of something, the sort of thing you're talking about tonight, spontaneous human combustion.
Yep.
He wasn't believed. There was no payout from insurance because it was believed that it was from suicide.
Oh.
And he thought that he would set up a help group. I didn't come at it from that side myself.
No.
I've come in from other charities. But he set it up. He's offering support to people, and in some cases, financial help.
Has it impacted on your life, SHC?
No, not really. I mean, I just work for Kevin. What I will say is I was cynical before I came along.
Yeah.
I've worked in all sorts of charities, and they make rather grandiose claims in order to get money. But I joined. I didn't know what to think, but some of the evidence I've seen, well, it's absolutely, you say it's a serious issue, it most certainly is. And it does exist. Yes, of course it does.
We've got Mike on the line. Mike, you were about to tell us your story of SHC and how it's impacted on your life.
Yeah, is that Kevin James, the world-famous mediocre actor, who it happened to?
The what, sorry?
Kevin James, the world-famous mediocre actor.
No, I don't think so. It wasn't actually. It was a journalist.
What's your point, Mike?
Actor? No, sorry. It's just that he's an American actor.
Yeah, maybe he's got the same name, mate. It does happen from time to time. Get to your point, please, caller.
The hijinks. So, in 2010, an episode of This Morning, just springtime, Keith Chegwin was cooking asparagus and poached eggs. And unfortunately, just as he broke into the yolk and exclaimed, he actually combusted.
Right, well, that's Mike. I'm going to stop you there, mate. That's not true. I saw Keith at the David Brent premiere recently. He's not combusted. That's not true, mate.
No, because what happened following that was the Mandela effect.
Oh, for goodness sakes, I'm sorry.
If I could pick up on something you were talking about in 1789, the priest Bertoli in the Italian town.
Yeah.
And the skin was detached from the bone. This is the interesting thing. I think what's pricked on other people's interest is this idea that, yes, there is a phenomenon where the natural event of what fire would do to a body does not happen in these cases. So that's quite a celebrated one, that 1789 one. The skin was detached from the bone in a way that wouldn't be expected from a normal fire.
David, I'm looking at Twitter now, and I'm not going to read all of it. But I'm going to read some of it, because I want you to I just want to know.
I'm well used to the cynics.
This is what I was going to say. Leighton on Twitter says, the closest I ever got to SHC was scorching my left testicle with my hot water bottle. Paul says, SHC has affected him in the bum area.
Right.
And it's kind of lots of people making jokes about farting and I mean, here we go. This one looks like it's being friendly, but listening to Iain Lee talking about spontaneous human combustion on Talk Radio, don't laugh. It's not funny. It's a burning issue. # hot topic. You get a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah, we do get a lot of that. We get a lot of time wasters and people, as you say, the breaking wind thing. We've had people sending photos and so forth, saying that I recently blew up and it's someone's.
They blew off?
Yes, they've letting igniting some methane, yeah. And we have a lot of that sort of thing. We have people who show us charred remains of clearly a doll or a teddy bear or something. It's very funny until it happens to you.
Do you think... Do you remember that gentleman, Mr. Methane? Hello?
Do I remember Mr. Methane? Well, yes, I do. What's your...
I wonder...
He was a comedy turn, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he wore... Have I got this right? He wore a green, like a suit, like a superhero suit, and would ignite his farts. Genuine act. I wonder if he did SHC... if his act actually had a negative impact on the work that SOOT do.
Well, yes, indeed. I mean, you've only got to look at some of the tweets tonight about, lighting your word, not my farts. Yes, it does happen. That's one of the main things that people like to joke about. Whether this particular gentleman, can't remember what you said his name is, whether he, did that. Yes, I suppose that sort of thing would have a detrimental effect.
Okay,
but if your mother had died,
exactly.
And set light to a skirt and all a cardigan and gone up like a Roman candle, I don't think you'd be making jokes about blowing off, doing farts.
Let me just read out. I've read out a couple of negatives. Let me read out a positive from David McFadden. He says, "I'm quite sceptical about SHC, but you have to be a complete knob to go on live radio just to ridicule a guest." Thank you, David. Jonathan's called in. Good evening, Jonathan.
Hello.
Jonathan, what's your story about SHC?
Pardon?
What's your... Yes, hello, Jonathan.
Yeah?
How has SHC impacted on your life?
What's SHC?
David?
Sorry, what is HSC? It's a term encompassing reported cases of combustion of living or recently deceased human beings, specifically without an apparent external source of ignition.
Spontaneous human combustion, Jonathan. We're doing a phone-in on it.
Oh. You usually have the guests on at 10 or 12.
Yeah, well, tonight we've got the guest on at 11, the one in between. Were you not listening?
No, I've been a bit busy.
Okay. What, being racist?
No, just having fun.
Okay.
I may call you tomorrow or something.
Okay.
Did you have anything specific you wanted to ask about SHC?
It's interesting, but I can't think of anything relevant.
Right.
Well, it's not. Is it true, David, that we all... He's gone. Okay. Is it true, David, that... 0844 499 1000, by the way. I was reading a statistic a few weeks ago in, I think it was in The New Scientist, which my father-in-law has in the toilet. It was a few months old. That in America, everybody knows somebody who has been impacted by spontaneous human combustion. Is that true? Because that's an amazing statistic.
I think, tonight it proved, there was a chap who phoned you earlier and he was talking about the wick effect.
Yeah.
Incidentally, got that slightly wrong. He's slightly mistaken. He seemed to be implying, I don't know if you remember, that his wife's uncle, I think it was, provided the wick effect himself. The wick effect is simply, if your body is burning, there's melted fat, what will happen is there are wick effects, sort of floor coverings, chair stuffing, the floor itself, the clothing. That is the wick effect. So I just wanted to make that clear. But yes, in terms of Americans, yes, we deal. We have people from all over the world getting in touch with us. We can't necessarily provide money for them, but we can certainly provide support. So yes, I think that's possible.
And what support? Has anybody ever survived a spontaneous human combusting?
Yes, indeed. Yes,
really?
Indeed.
Isn't that interesting?
Frank Baker is a celebrated combustor from Vermont, USA, in 1995. He began burning, in his case, from his anal area, and he survived that. And he's been on a number of documentaries talking about.
I think I've seen his arse.
Well, his anus sort of smouldered. There was no hint of any lighter fluid, or it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But it can happen. And with a number of these cases, there are people who've been sat next to a naked flame. Quite often there are bees.
There are what, sorry? There are bees? Bees?
Obese. And...
there are bees?
I don't know. Obese. Fat, quite larger people.
Yep.
and they have, and some of them have had an impacted colon. The release of gaseous air next to an external flame can ignite things.
Page 84 of the. Did you used to collect the Unexplained back in the day?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Magazine. Deaths that appear to have been caused by spontaneous human combustion (SHC) have always been an embarrassment to the medical profession. Gosh, I mean, this is 1981. How true it is now. The refusal to believe in SHC is not the result of a deliberate conspiracy to suppress the evidence. Rather, there has been a turning away, a wish not to think about such an outrage of accepted medical and scientific knowledge. What's the scientific? Where is the science community on it today? Is it accepted?
I think that, over the years, I mean, there's been, right back to, the 1780s, people have been reporting this thing. I think that increases in forensic research would suggest that it is possible. There's been a lot of kind of silly comments, people throwing up you and tweeting and such like. I'm not an idiot. I can see why it's extraordinary, but it does exist.
It does seem too fantastic.
It does seem fantastic. Yeah. You've got to wonder why it happens. I mean, our bodies are made of electrical impulses. Everything we do is controlled, enabled by electrical signals running through our bodies.
There's an interesting picture here. Sorry to interrupt. Interesting. It's actually horrific. It's a pair of legs, and it's a pair of legs, and it's a woman in a fireplace. Okay, and the caption.
I've seen that. Another one.
And so the body's completely gone, but the legs are there. But she's in a fireplace, and the caption says, "Only the legs remain of Mrs. E.M., a widow who died on the 29th of January 1958. Was she burnt by the fire in the grate, or did she combust of her own accord?" And bearing in mind her body, what remains of her body, is in the fireplace.
Well, yes, and I think that possibly the clue is that she was in the fireplace. Yeah. She may have, had a drink. She's been near a naked flame. She's got, she's let air pass, and her hair has caught light, her skirt's caught light, and she's gone up.
The human body is a remarkable thing. Dan's called in. Dan, you're through to David Franks from SOOT. How has SHC impacted on your life?
Well, it hasn't impacted on me yet. I mean, I have got some concerns, and I hope David might be able to give me some direction on this.
Let's hope so, yes.
You said that SHC does tend to impact people who are, shall we say, obese, I think you said?
Yes, I said obese.
Now, I'm a gentleman of a size. Let's say I'm probably the size of those blue disability cars you used to get. I've put on a bit of weight.
Right.
And I suffer from IBS, so things are a bit gassy.
Right.
I've got a nylon carpet.
Oh, God.
I've got a brand new sofa coming in the next couple of weeks.
I see.
I'm concerned. The sofa is being bought on tick. It's on the Never Never. I'm going to be paying it off probably for the next 4 or 5 years.
Can I just bring you into what's this got to do with SHC, please, Dan? Just to move you on, because it's very, very busy switchboard tonight.
I am concerned that were I to spontaneously combust, my partner might be left with a sofa that she can ill afford to pay for. Does David Franks, he's reputable in this, I know this, I've read his books, does he know of a decent insurer?
Yeah, that's a good question, David. Will insurance companies, will the Admiral, will Churchill say, "Oh yes"? If you make a claim,
I couldn't go with Churchill because we've got cats; they don't like the dog.
Okay, no, fair enough. Okay, would the Admiral raise the flag and salute it, David, if you made a claim because your loved one died of SHC?
I'm certainly not prepared.
As well, I've got to say is that I really don't agree with semen on my sofa.
Dan, you've
just asked the question.
We've got the question, Dan. Let's let David. Let's just hang on. Sorry, David. Sorry, David. He's interrupted. I'm just telling him why he should stop interrupting and let you get on with the questions.
Okay.
Let me just finish that.
Can I speak now?
Not yet, because I've not let.
Oh, sorry.
No, guys.
Is it me that's got to be quiet?
No.
Yes.
I'm David.
You want me to speak now?
Not yet,
Hello?
David. I'm just going to put.
Is it my turn here?
No, Dan and David.
Right.
If you could both be quiet, David. I'm just going to explain to Dan why he needs to be quiet, so you can answer the question. And then, if you could answer the question, that would be great. So, Dan, you've asked the question.
Are you talking to me now, Ian?
Yes, I am. Let's let David answer it. David.
Sorry, David.
Right. Well, I can't.
We'll come back after this break.
Late Night Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
We've got about another 8 minutes or so of David Franks' time. David Franks is from SOOT, the Society of Osmotic Thermalisation. We're talking about an issue that doesn't really get enough attention, I don't think, these days, spontaneous human combustion. David, you're about to answer Dan's question. Would...
yes.
His wife, if he were to spontaneously, humanly combust, would his wife be able to make a claim on the insurance?
Well, I don't know whether
you can answer
Dan,
me, David.
Yeah, I was.
Sorry,
okay,
I don't think that
start speaking, David, and don't stop.
Right. Okay. I'd just like to say that this Dan. I mean, I would like to point out. You talk about you've got was it irritable bowel syndrome? And you've got a nylon sofa and all. I just make it absolutely clear, it's not necessarily about igniting bad air from, the anus. There are many things, there are many theories about how it could happen. I dare say you could be drinking as much homemade beer and eating as much curry as you like. It doesn't mean you're going to blow up.
Is it true, Mama Cass spontaneously combusted? Is that true?
Yes, sir, that is true.
That is true, isn't it? Yeah, I thought so. I thought I'd read that somewhere.
On that occasion, all the leaves weren't just brown. The sky was as well.
David, I mean, who would insure me?
I don't know. I can't. The society can't give specific insurance companies. I'm not allowed to do it, and I certainly couldn't do that on air.
Iain, do you know, if I were to phone the Admiral...
Yeah, no, Dan...
Would the Admiral... Would the seaman cover my sofa?
Dan, someone's pointed out on Twitter what that joke actually meant, actually. Yeah, you did it earlier and I didn't get it, and someone pointed out on Twitter. No, thank you, mate. How can someone, David, stop themselves spontaneously bursting into flame? Someone said on Twitter, and I thought it was a joke, but actually thinking about it during that break, it does make sense. Is sleeping in a bath of water, would that help?
Yes, that is something you could do. There are flame retardant clothes that you could buy. If you're worried about, igniting overnight, there are sheets that you can get that will damp down. You can sleep under a fire blanket. There are a number of things. I would leave windows closed because fire can spread with the addition of oxygen. And I wouldn't sleep with anyone. If you're worried about suddenly bursting into flames, keep away from the spicy food. Keep the windows closed at all times and try and sleep under some fire retardant material.
Andrew asks on Twitter...
What does he ask?
So I've got a glass of water. Hang on a second. Sorry. Andrew asks, could a furious...
I hope.
Could a furious tug cause this?
What?
David?
What does it? What does it? Does it mean what I think it means? No, I've looked into that. I mean, there's a lot of research about that sort of thing. Friction burns are totally different. I don't think what you're referring to.
So there's no need for him, as he says, I best put my boxing gloves back on. There's no need for that. Tug away, Andrew. Okay.
Bit silly.
David, if people want to find out more about SOOT, where do they go and how can they help?
www.Society of Osmotic Thermalisation. Be sure to send me an email. I will do my very best to get back to you. And I dare say, hopefully some of the questions won't just be about having a furious tug or whatever you said, or blowing off into a naked flame. Hello?
Well, I wish you and your society the very best of luck, David. And you've got an open invitation. You come on any time you want, mate.
I'd love to. Thank you so much. And keep safe out there.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, David. David Franks from SOOT. 0844 499 1000 is the phone number. You can give us a call about that, or you can call in about anything you want, really, guys. This is Talk Radio.
Late night conversation worth losing sleep over. Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
0844 499 1000. I'm Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio. You can call in about that. You can call in about anything else that you want to call in about. Later on in the show, we're going to play the interview that I did with John Ronson ages and ages ago. It was like the third week of Talk Radio when we had 6 listeners, so double what we've got now. But some of you won't have heard it, so we're gonna play that later on because it's a cracking interview. In the meantime, you can call in about anything you want. 0844 499 1000 is the telephone number. Now, there's this new gadget out, right? And I saw this earlier on, and part of me thought, ooh, that looks good. And then I thought, oh, that actually looks a bit rubbish. But I don't know if it's good or if it's rubbish or not. Amazon has launched its own version of a butler. A £150 voice-activated device that can run your home? What the heck is this? Echo. When my boys go somewhere that creates an echo, to test the echo, they shout the word echo, but then they also do the echo of the word echo. So we'll be under a bridge and they'll go, echo, 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 echo. And I go, guys, you can't test the echo because you can say other things apart from the word echo, and you don't, if there is a real echo, you don't need to do the fake echo. The fecko, it's close. You don't need to do that. It will do it. They go, echo, 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 echo. Is connected by the internet. Oh, the bloody internet. I knew it. Is connected by the internet to an artificial intelligence hub called Alexa. Right, well, this is going to, already, it's a £150 butler called Alexa that's connected to the internet. This isn't going to work. Or maybe it will, I don't know. That provides the brain power to control smart gadgets around the house and access a host of services. Now, there's a picture here, and it says what Alexa can do. It can order a pizza. Okay, I can believe that. It can turn on the lights. Mm. It can run a bath. Who has got the taps? Who has got any taps connected to the internet? That's obviously nonsense. Taps can... Alexa, run a bath. I don't even know how to get Siri to work on my phone. The only time Siri comes up is when it's in my pocket and I press a combination of buttons by accident. And again, my kids get excited. Oh, can we talk to Siri? No. I don't know how to activate Siri. It can turn up the heating. 0844 499 1000. Tris, I will come to you in a second. It can turn up the heating, switch on lights and set domestic timers as well as order a takeaway and call a cab. Because when I saw this online earlier. You go to Amazon and it comes up on their homepage. And I thought it was just a wireless speaker. You know, you get these wireless... Because it said you can stream Spotify and Amazon Prime and a few other things. So I thought it was just a wireless speaker. But it turns out it can do everything. And all-round speakers on the pint-sized gizmo means it can play music from... or read users the news or sports results. It can even interact with the user much in the same way that a human assistant can do. And then that's all it says about that. Let's analyse that sentence. 0844 499 1000. It can even interact with the user much in a way that a human assistant can do. What? It doesn't explain that anymore. What the hell does that mean? Echo and smaller £50 version Dot have been a hit in the US and have been given an English accent for the British launch. Jessica Ekholm of analysts Gartner said, "A connected home will be easily achievable for most in a few years. And why use an app to control your home when you can just shout at it? What the hell is this? Can someone explain to me, please, right, how this thing can turn on your bath? Alexa, turn on my bath. Right. How's it put the plug in the bath? Ha! Gotcha! You might be able to connect the taps to the internet. You can't connect the plug to the internet. Can't connect the bath plug to Wi-Fi. You can't do it. How can you do that? Unless you've got like a Pee Wee Herman kind of breakfast machine that does it. I mean, doesn't it sound great? But also, I bet setting it up would be an absolute nightmare. By the way, if Amazon want to give me one for free, I'd certainly come on the radio and say great things about it. But anything that has to be connected to the Wi-Fi is just a nightmare, because I always have to. My Wi-Fi box is under my bed because that's where my main phone socket is. The main phone socket isn't in the hallway or in the spare room or in the living room. It's under the bed in my bedroom. And so every time I want to know what the password is, I have to go up there and I reach under there with my phone and take a picture of it. And then I've got a printer that's connected to the Wi-Fi. And after about 3 weeks, it goes really slowly. I mean, it would take about 20 minutes to print a page. And the only way, for ages I thought it was broken, and we put up with this for months. About a year, actually, we put up with this. And, it would take half a day to print out several documents. And then I discovered that the only way to get it back to good speed is to turn off the Wi-Fi, like at the mains for a minute, and then turn it back. It's got to be longer than a minute. You do it less than a minute, and it's going to bugger the whole thing up. So you have to go and disconnect the Wi-Fi for a minute, then turn it back on, and then it works again for 2 or 3 weeks, and then no. Triss is on the line. Good evening, Triss.
Hey, Pivot.
Do you know this thing's getting me angry?
Yeah, well, I mean, I even have dead spots in the house where I can't get Wi-Fi, so the thought of connecting everything up to it sounds terrible.
You can't get Wi-Fi in your house?
No, I can, but there's like little corners, like little bits of the house where the signal drops out. I can't get it in the kids' room.
Well, that's actually probably a blessing, isn't it? Because when they get older, you don't want them on the old. You don't want them on the old internet. Kids in the internet.
They're not going to know what the internet is, mate.
Exactly.
Have you seen those smart buttons that Amazon are doing now as well? Where
if you run out of toilet paper, you hit the button and then you get it later that day or something. Is that right?
That's right. They've also got a Durex button as well. That's a way of killing the mood, isn't it?
I think the Durex button. I thought that was a spoof.
Oh no, I don't think it was. I think I saw it on the Amazon website. I think I'm not definite.
I thought that was a spoofington. I hate spoofs. I hate spoofs. I hate when people do spoofs. There's nothing lazier, right, Triss? Indulge me for a second, right? There's nothing lazier than people doing spoofs like that. If that Durex thing was a spoof, then it was just lazy. And you get people doing spoof TV shows, like spoof documentaries, like The Office, lazy. Or when some shows get spoof guests on, you think, oh, just get a real guest on. Just go and make a real documentary. Go and get do something for real. Create something instead of spoofing other people's ideas. Really annoys me.
Yeah, I can see why.
Really annoys me.
Yeah, I agree with you there, mate. Did you get my email about fronting your?
You want to be the
night?
lead singer of a Ska Days night? Yes, I did. I've got a couple of people that are ahead of you in the queue, and also, Trish, you might be rubbish.
I could be, yeah.
You could be rubbish. You see, this is the thing. A Ska Days night. There are rumours going around. The Ska Day nights might be playing 2 or 3 songs. The Christmas performance ring on December the 11th. It's 3 months away, guys. I'm talking to Spencer and Matt, my bandmates now, right? They won't be listening, but it's 3 months away, guys. We can get 2 to 3 songs ready in 3 months, can't we? Can't we? And then we've got Rubbing My Ribs is going to play the trumpet.
Yep.
And then we're gonna. I want like a Buster Blood vessel type character. Not him, because I met him once and he was a bit obnoxious. But we want. Hey, where do I buy a pork pie hat from, Tris?
You can get them on like cheapo markets and stuff like that.
I'll pop down to the cheapo market and get a pork pie hat then. That's what I want. I'll ask Ollie Moores if he's got any of his pork pie hats left.
Yeah, he'll have one.
He'll have one, won't he? Oh, no, this show is supposed to be celebratory, so I won't diss Ollie Moores. Isn't Ollie Moores great? Isn't it great? Isn't it great, Tris, that we live in a world where people with limited talent can go on to have huge, successful pop and television presenting careers? There we go. I made that into positive.
It's fantastic. I'm aware of him, but I couldn't tell you anything he's done.
Why are people telling me about fish feed? People are saying you can fish feed and run a greenhouse they're saying by phone. First of all, A, I'm not interested. And B, this isn't by phone. This is a little tube that you shout to. You say, Alexa, run me a bath. I don't care about the fisheries and greenhouses and people accusing me.
Doesn't that take the whole joy out of having a hobby, though?
What, running a bath is a hobby?
No, like a fish tank or a greenhouse or something, running it on an app.
People accusing me of stealing Howard Hughes' act as well, just because, listen, guys, Spontaneous Human Combustion. If I want to talk about spooky shiz, I'm going to talk about spooky shiz. You can't copyright. Hit the numbers now, you will get through. You can copyright that. Remind me to do that tomorrow, because I really want to copyright that, and then when James O'Brien says it, I'm going to serve him a cease and desist, and if he does it again, I'll take him to court, in your face. But you can't copyright spookiness.
Paul Ross was doing it this morning as well. He was doing conspiracy theories this morning.
Well, was he? Hey,
well, I don't listen to him. I just had him on the radio because I had you on last night.
Well, here's the thing, right? Everybody reckons that because I've got this brilliant new book by Hunter Davis, who we will get to an interview one day. We'll sort it out. But he's written this like the Beatles book. It's kind of like an encyclopedia of Beatles knowledge. And of course, first thing I went to was Magic Alex. Second thing I went to was Jimmy Nicol, who's not in the book. And boy, oh boy, I'm going to question Hunter on that. Third thing I went to was Paul is Dead. And I love all the Paul is Dead stories. But
I'm quite expert on this.
But now everybody thinks that Hillary Clinton is dead. And that she's like Saddam Hussein and she's got like loads of doubles and stuff. Here's the thing, right? I have got I cannot work this out, Tris, right? And people working on this radio station do it, right? People are slagging off Hillary Clinton for being ill.
Yeah, I know.
People are hang on a minute, right? She's a 68-year-old woman with pneumonia, right? Despite having pneumonia, she went to a 9/11 memorial, and someone was on Radio 4 today saying she does about 5 or 6 events in different cities a day. A day, right? And people have got the cheek to slag her off. What? For being a really strong woman, being a really strong human being who, despite being actually quite ill at a fair age, 68 ain't young, it takes a bit longer to recover, despite being really ill, is still going to memorial events and telling people why they shouldn't vote for the fruitcake with the permatan, who's, I think, is actually going to win, but that's by the by. But people are accusing her of being weak and saying she should step down. Hang on a minute. Surely we should all be carrying her, we should be raising her aloft and saying this is an incredibly strong human being who, despite being really, really ill, is still attempting to make an impact in the world.
I mean, out of the two candidates, she's a strange one to be attacking, isn't she?
Yeah. I mean, they're both, they're both not great candidates. Okay, right, fine, but I do not understand why now it's become a health thing, and she is weak, and Trump is going to put out his health statistics.
He's come out saying he's on statins because he's too fat.
He's on statins and he wants to lose £20. Well, why don't you come out and give us your tax returns that will prove that you're not a billionaire? You're a millionaire, but you're not a billionaire, Donald Trump, like you say you are. But no, let's have a go at a 68-year-old who's got pneumonia for being weak, and that person should step down.
But his whole argument of being a billionaire that makes him the best candidate, it makes it sound like he's going to personally bail out the US from his own pocket every time something goes wrong.
He ain't got the money. He's a crappy businessman. He's a terrible businessman. There was there was a report that if he'd invested the money that his dad gave him just in like a decent interest bank account, he'd have made more money than he's made from business.
Yeah, I can well believe
it. But you can't. I honestly, I cannot understand. And people doing it on this station, I'm sat there going, why are you doing this, right? How can you have a go at someone for being weak when they've got pneumonia and they're still doing the job? You can't be president because you had pneumonia once? Jog on, you slackers!
I mean, genuinely, I think it's the inherent sexism in the media, if we're getting serious.
Do you know, I hadn't considered the sexism. I can dig that. You know, I can dig that. References to how she looks and all of that kind of stuff. It's weird, man. She's a 68-year-old.
And again, if you're going to slag off someone on how they look, you're getting the wrong candidate again.
Tris, exactly. Thank you, Tris. Oh, sorry, we went off on a rant there, and I've got to move on. 0844 499 1000. Honestly, I don't get it, and it's all over the media. It's all over the media. You know, she should stand down. She is weak. She should resign from the. How is she going to be able to be the president? What? She's got pneumonia, right, which you can recover from. Ideally, she should have about 3 or 4 weeks off and some antibiotics, but she can't because the election's in 8 weeks' time. So she is still going on. So surely we should be going, hey, do you know what? Even though Hillary Clinton is actually quite ill, and she's of an age, 68, it's not that old, but still, it's a little bit slower to recover. Isn't she strong? Isn't she a battler? That's the kind of person I'd like to have leading my country, please. 0844 499 1000.
The radio show for people who know the best part of the day is the night.
Late night Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
So, number plates are big in the news today. They're on page 3. Underneath, there's this story of this muscly man, this Joe guy. You know this Joe guy, the muscly man with the beard? I met him, right? I don't know who he is. He was on the Saturday show at Christmas when I was on, and everyone was like, who is this guy? He's like a fitness guru, a health and fitness guru called Joe Wicks. But where has he come from? He's not one of those people that's come from YouTube, is he? Shippo Hippo on Twitter says, Hillary Clinton is responsible for untold Muslim deaths in the Middle East. Her psychopathy knows no bounds. Okay, right, fine, right. What's that got to do with anything I've just said, you utter prune? What's that got to do with anything I've just said? We still shouldn't be attacking her for being weak, should we? Just because she's ill. And you think, what's his name? Trump is going to do any better? Geez, the man is a psychopath. He's a millionaire, flipping heck. Millionaire fitness sensation Joe Wicks and page 3 girl Rosie Jones, woo-woo, are today revealed as secret lovers after the pair tried to hide their romance. Well, they've not hid it very well because they're posting pictures on Twitter from the same luxury secret island. It's almost as if they want us to know. Someone's saying Wicks got famous from Snapchat. I don't know what Snapchat is. The couple shared a series of identical holiday snaps from Richard Branson's Paradise Necker Island without mentioning they were with each other. Wowzers. A source said, We made up said They've been trying to keep it quiet, which is why they kept each other out of their posts on social media. But they're on Necker as a couple. They've had a perfect first holiday together. Joe's been referring to it as a celebration week. Well, good for them. Good for them. I really hope they have some great sex. Some really young, beautiful, powerful sex. And then when they split up, they get lots of money for the photographs. That's what I hope happens to them. That's the modern courting way, I think. That's how relationships go these days, isn't it, Pablo?
I believe so.
Thank you very much indeed. Hip, 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 Pablo.
How are you doing? You all right?
You know, I'm all right. I've cancelled a couple of things I've got next week, including I was giving a talk at a radio. I mentioned this on the show, but giving a talk next week at a radio thing, and I've cancelled it. Just because, Pablo, sometimes I'm quite bouncy today, but that's because I'm I don't know why. But sometimes the world is flipping heavy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, tell me about it. It's partly for my reason for my call.
Oh, go on, man. What's going on with you?
Well, it's nothing to do with me, really. It's just the whole world in general. I've had to step away from Question Time because Alistair Campbell's starting to annoy me slightly.
What's Alistair Campbell doing?
Well, aside from the fact of, I admire what he's done for mental health campaigns, etc. But the man, I don't understand what he's still about.
Oh, you could, yeah. I mean, he's done a lot. He was an alcoholic, and he suffered from depression, and it's great. He's brought attention to that. It shows that even heartless bastards can suffer from depression. I guess that's what that shows.
Yeah. Well, it's just this whole thing. He's basically, obviously, I know you don't like getting too political, but he's just on there with John McDonnell, just arguing the whole standard thing at the minute with the whole how can Jeremy Corbyn win an election that's not happening for another 4 years yet. But let's not give him the chance to actually do anything. Let's try and muddy the waters as much as possible.
Well, here's the thing, right? I like Jeremy Corbyn. I think he's a player. I think he's a geezer. I think he's got a very strong vibe. I do think, though, that he's gonna destroy the Labour Party. And I respect, I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says, and I agree with a lot of his attitude towards stuff, and I like his, I respect his conviction and all of that stuff. But him being in that position is tearing the Labour Party apart. Now that might be a healthy thing, that might lead to, when what was it, the SDP started, which eventually became the Lib Dems, which eventually, there's 4 MPs now. But so it might be a healthy thing, but him being in charge of the Labour Party probably does mean that the Tories will be in power for the next, 2 general elections?
Yeah, well, I think my argument's always been the fact that I'm in no illusion that he may potentially be in power by then, but I just think it's kind of like just to realign the Labour Party as an essential part, and if he's not given the chance, I think the issue with Jeremy Corbyn, I think you said it right, is the fact that him being in power is the problem. It's not necessarily him and his hold of power that's the problem. It's the fact that he has, got in kind of through the back door, didn't necessarily realise that it was going to happen the way it did. He kind of got put on the mandate almost as a kind of let's appease some of the old left-wingers, which in itself is a joke in the Labour Party as far as I'm concerned, like trying to appease left-wingers when it's a left-wing party. But he gets in, and then...
But it's not, is it? It's not... Labour isn't really a left-wing party anymore.
Well,
and hasn't been
like
since
Alistair Campbell. That's the issue. But and then he's on Question Time arguing the point when he's the one who's kind of responsible for politics going the way where we don't believe a word anybody says. We just kind of just go on jingoisms and who says the last word rather than who says the most important word.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I could see myself voting for Jeremy Corbyn, but then I would count that probably as a wasted vote.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with him at the minute is I think Jeremy Corbyn, he's got his, he's a principled man, and I think if he was given the chance along the way, if it wasn't going that way, he would step down. I really think he would. But the fact that he's been hounded in the way that he has, it's got his back up. He's got the whole kind of, we won't be moved type of thing. You know, and I think that's the way they've gone about it wrong. You know, essentially, as they've said, if he can't do the job, give him the rope to hang himself. You know, fair enough. But arguing about it, 4 years before, the actual election, you're just creating a situation where he could never be elected.
But I know what you mean, but he's within his right to say that. People are within their rights to say that. And but by going on TV and saying, right, with Jeremy Corbyn in charge, we're going to lose the next general election, that it doesn't necessarily become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You might lose the general election because of Jeremy Corbyn. You're not going to lose it, though, because Alistair Campbell's gone on telly and said you're going to lose it.
Oh, no, certainly, but I think it's one of those things that I'm not saying, give him a chance because you'll lose. I'm saying give him a chance and we'll see what happens. But the rhetoric right now is the fact that if he's in power, we will lose, and that's coming from people within his own party, where surely, he's been given the mandate, he's able to be in charge of the party. Just if everybody thinks he's so terrible, just give him the chance, and then, a year down the line or what have you, in comes the other Miliband, old David.
But he won't, though, because he won't stand. Even if he loses, he won't stand down, probably. And also, when he was a backbencher, he was always voting against, the party line and the whip and stuff. So, people rebelling within the Labour Party is a great Corbynite tradition, isn't it?
Well, to a degree, but I think a lot of the times that he was rebelling a lot of the times that it's mentioned, it's generally mentioned in the distant past as, well, look at him, he stood up for his principles and he was right, to look at it now. Or it's a case of when the party was realigning to this kind of, left of centre, New Labour thing, which is pretty much, kind of goes with his socialist background. So, I say just give him a crack.
Do you know what, Pablo? I'm half hungry. I'm sitting here. I'm really, 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 really flipping hungry. Really hungry.
Well, I've got one midget gem, but I've been saving it for myself. Really.
You have it. I'm not keen on. Are those the little things with the icing on top?
No. They're ice gems.
Ice gems. What's a midget gem then?
Midget gems is the cowbone equivalent, the jelly type thing.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm very particular about the jelly sweets that I will eat. Jelly tots, beautiful. Fruit pastels, oh, yeah. Wine gums, not too many. Jelly babies, no thank you.
Well, have you tried the Haribo jelly babies? They're a different form of jelly baby, but I would say they're possibly better.
You can't go... Haribo, Tangfastics, just saying the word Tangfastics and your mouth waters, and Percy Pigs.
I like the eggy ones the best.
Thank you, Pablo. Wowzers. John Ronson coming up in a little bit. Some of you may have heard the interview before. Some of you quite possibly haven't. This is in the very early days when no one was really listening to us. We were kind of just warming up the engine to see where we would go. You can still call in, though. There's another half hour for you to call in. 0844 499 1000, 0844 499 1000. We call you back, guys. I'm Iain Lee. You're listening to Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking. Talk Radio.
Yeah. 0844 499 1000. You've got another 30 minutes of calling in action. Hot calling in action, guys. How could you say no to that? I'm Iain Lee. It's midnight. This is Talk Radio.
Late night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
I'll bring the chips and the dips and root beer, even though dark purple rain clouds are near. When you come around, you bring the summer. I'll lay the basket and blanket out neat, even though weathermen say baby, you bring the summer, you bring the summer around. Summer, baby, you bring the summer, you bring the summer around. Summer, baby, you bring the summer, you bring the summer around. Summer, baby, you bring the summer, you bring the summer around.
0844 499 1000 is the telephone number. So number plates are, oh dear. I guess enough of that. I've been seeing a lot of these number plates recently with, but personalised number plates. They cost an absolute fortune, don't they? I mean, like thousands of pounds. You've got to be celebratory. And I think that's wonderful. I'm trying to make the show celebratory because I'm in a really crappy mood, and it's easy to kind of to do the negative. So I'm trying to bring the summer, man, and be celebratory. And boy oh boy, those personalised number plates really do add a touch of glamour to the roads. Well, they've banned some number plates, and when you read them. You've got to squint to make the numbers look like letters. Who thinks a 4 actually looks like an A? 3 is an E. I can get that. Drivers wanting an orgasm on their car, but it's orgasm spelled OR66ASM, and that doesn't really work. What was the one I saw today? I saw one, and they it just doesn't really. Or when you've got two ones or two eyes, but they make the screw that holds the number plate on in between the eyes. They make it black so it looks like an H. That's got to be illegal. Hey, is it true? Do you remember when the congestion charge started? Do you remember that when it started? Flipping it. And there was a rumour going around that if you rubbed Vaseline all over your number plate, the cameras couldn't read it. And if it's on the number plate, well, it's only an inch down to the exhaust. Wallop. No! Some people do. Is that true? If you rub that can't be true. That can't be. Vaseline on a number plate means you can't read it? No. Well, you try it for me and let me know. Drivers wanting an OR66 ASM on their car, oh, here we go, will be frustrated after officials banned the racy licence plate. Well, first of all, it's not racy. Secondly, it's not a licence plate. We're not in America. So what they've done is, right, it's 66, where it can be, well, in here it's either double B or double G. Okay, so let's try and guess. It's going to be a little bit blue. The next 2 minutes are going to be blue, guys. So if you've got kids and they're up at 7 minutes past 12, you're a bad parent, and someone should be notifying the social services. But it's great to have you on board. Others if my niece and nephew are listening in New Zealand, well, your mother's said much worse than this. Others blacklisted in the 66 series of plates issued this month include. Okay. Doggers, unlucky. Buggers, gobble, and mugger. Now, exclusive private number plates can cost hundreds of thousands of pounds, but the DVLA the squares at the DVLA can ban any that might cause offence. In the 1/6 series early this year, it banned. Now this is outrageous. You can't ban this. B16NOB. Big knob. Now this one doesn't work. So this is a number plate that got banned, right? B16SLG. So it's big slug. I know it's supposed to be but I mean, Jake Smith of Plate Broker. What the heck? They made a job up? They made a job out of this called Plate Broker? Said We are sure that some jokers would like to get their hands on a few of the options that are prohibited. No one has ever actually said that sentence. Oh, there's a new time travel show. Ooh, I'll have some of that. We are sure that some jokers would like to get their hands on a few of the options that are prohibited. Well, I mean, really? Hey, big news. It could be the end, guys. 0844 499 1000. It could be the end of Status Quo. No! I've seen Status Quo in concert. The driver of one of them was a bloke called Andrew. I don't know how I remember his name. And he used to phone up the show. And he said, I'll get you tickets to go and see Status Quo. I was like, do you know what, actually, that'd be a laugh. It was a laugh. But it went on for about 3 hours. Now, early Quo, they did Matchstick Men, didn't? No, they did. What's the Quo song from the 60s that goes? Oh, someone phone him. There's a Quo song from the 60s, and it's a really good song. What is it? Someone, look, I mean, click refresh on Twitter. No. Come on, someone tell me. Oh, come on, guys. Someone on Twitter, I'm going to keep clicking refresh until someone tells me. And it's a spot-on impression of the song, and I cannot think what the flipping heck it's called. And all of you on Twitter won't tell me. Oh, jeez, I'm going to have to go on. I'm going to have to Google it. Well, what's the point of having a phone in? No, I'm not singing SOS by ABBA. That song you're singing is SOS by ABBA. All Quo songs sound the same. No, you're wrong. Early Quo, they were like a psychedelic rock band. They did a song that went, They didn't do Matchstick Men, did they? Oh, I'm getting so confused. Hang on. Quo. Maybe they did. Hang on a second. Hang on a minute. Here we go. This is it. So remember this, right? I'm even doing the effect of it. Here we go. Here it comes. Listen. Come on. That's it. I'm even doing... This is great. Listen. This is the Quo. Listen.
When I look up to the sky, I see your eyes, a funny kind of yellow.
They're doing psychedelic rock, man.
I rush home to bed, I suck my head, I see your face underneath my pillow.
Look at them. They're beautiful.
I wake next morning, toss to the yard, and see your face come peeking through my window. Pictures of Matchstick Men and you. Mirages of Matchstick Men and you.
Okay, they did another song. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is the quote. We're having a quote. That's a little bit rubbish, that one. But the early one was good, wasn't it? And I quite like it. You go and see them. An hour and a half I could sit through. It went on for 3 hours. Anyway, the Quo might be over. You know, and I think I can say this without fear of being taken to court. I think I can. You know, remember Live Aid? a lot of the performers were on cocaine then. These guys were supplying it to everyone. Rick Parfitt has done more cocaine. He's had like triple bypasses and double bypasses, and he's done everything. He's on cocaine now. Hasn't been for a long time, but massive. He famously, I think it's either Rick or Francis. I think it's Rick. Famously can put a handkerchief up his nose and pull it out the other nostril because there's a massive hole. There's a massive hole because of cocaine. It wears, hey, whoa, great fun, yeah, but it's wearing away your nasal cavities, guys. Drugs are really bad for your teeth. Did you know that? If you take too many drugs, your teeth fall out. If you see people without teeth, you go, heroin. Or old. Status Quo guitarist Rick Parfitt. So I like the Quo. I've got a soft spot for the Quo, and I think that the fact that they're still rocking all over the world is a great song, right? That's a great song. Who originally did it? Shall I play the original? Hang on a second. The original is rubbish. Is rubbish when compared to the Status Quo version. Here we go. Listen to this. Oh no, hang on a minute. That one might be all right. Here we go. Oh dear me. Bear with me, guys. No, that one might be all right as well. This one. Listen to this rubbish. This is the original. Creedence Clearwater Revival doing a stinky version, and the Quo turned it into a wonderful hit. Status Quo guitarist Rick Parfitt may never perform with the band live again after a near-fatal heart attack he revealed last night. We'll reveal more after this.
Late Night Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
It says here that Francis Rossi was a big cokehead as well. He spent his cocaine habit at its peak cost him £1,500 a week. Is that all? Status Quo guitarist Rick Parfitt may never perform with the band live again after a near-fatal heart attack he revealed last night. The former hell-raising rocker yesterday told how he died for 3.5 minutes after his heart stopped in a cardiac arrest while touring Turkey. While the 67-year-old has recovered well, he's been left with mild cognitive impairments and is far from being fit enough to join the band's last night of the Electrics tour of Europe starting next month. At Christmas, his doctor will tell him whether he is fit enough to play hits again, including Rocking All Over the World. I know what his hits are! Didn't know what the first one was. It was Matchstick Men. And while Parfitt is bullish about his recovery, his manager said yesterday he may well have performed his last show with Quo. Can we get Quo on the show? Let's get Quo on the show, because they're one of those bands. I mean, listen to these stats, right? 106 appearances on Top of the Pops, more than any other group, right? I'm sniffing now because we're talking about cocaine, isn't it? See, it's contagious. 415 weeks in the UK singles chart. Flipping heck, they've sold 120 million albums. That's not to be sniffed at, although that's why they did sniff at it. 65 songs in the charts, more than any other band. 6,000 live shows to a total audience in excess of 25 million. And Quo have become a joke, but I think Quo have come out the other side of the joke, haven't they? Or they've become aware of the joke and they embrace it as well. I do want to watch that film. Was it called Viva Quo? They made a movie, like in the last 5 years, where they play Status Quo, and don't they get chased by mobsters or something? Is that what happens in it? Someone's telling me Francis... you're right, yes. Francis Rossi's septum fell out in a shower. You like that one, Kath? This is what they should do, right, to stop to warn people of cocaine is a very, very unpleasant drug. It's a very nasty drug, okay? And it at the very least, it just makes people really boring. If you've ever been talking to people who are coked up, oh, gosh, can I speak? No? I've spoken and you're not listening? Okay, I'm going now. Bye. It's so... And another thing, and what I want to do is... But they should just get Francis Rossi to pull a handkerchief through his nose. Although that might actually make it look cool. Let's get the Quo on the show. His departure would mean he and bandmate Francis Rossi, 67, falling short of just marking the 50th anniversary of their first hit. But Parfitt says he's determined to see his 8-year-old twins grow up. He says, I've let the fans and the band down because Quo's not Quo without me. Oh dear. Oh dear. Parfitt, so the other one, no, that one, who estimates he spent £1 million on drugs, once threw the contents of his dining room into a pool while on cocaine. Once surrounded by groupies, I see. I wonder where that story was going. I read the comma in the wrong place. Once surrounded by groupies, Parfitt has been married 3 times and has 2 sons from a past relationship. He said it felt weird watching Status Quo play at Hyde Park on TV on Sunday without him, and made him realise a large chunk of his life is missing. Well, a large chunk of Rossi's nose is missing. So you win some, you lose some. I do like the Quo. You're in the army now. Whoa, whoa, you're in the army now. Whoa, ba-dum. Okay. On the same page on the Daily Mail, Guardian journalists C-word on Radio 4 at 11:15 in the morning. Radio 4 is the smuttiest, most potty-mouthed radio station of the lot of them. I was listening to a play. I don't really like the plays on there, though. There have been some good ones recently, actually. I think they've got a new head of drama on there, because they've had some decent plays. But I was listening to one the other day, and about 2:30, it was the S-bomb, and I think there was an F in there as well. They've only just recovered from the drama of Helen's trial in the Archers, but BBC Radio 4 listeners got another shock yesterday when they heard the C-word before lunchtime. It was read out by Guardian journalist Gary Young during a programme about the effects of the Brexit vote on Poles living in the UK. Mr. Young interviewed an Eastern European worker who told of finding graffiti at his factory just before the June 23rd referendum. After being shown a picture of the scene on the man's phone, Mr. Young read out the graffiti. Vote out EU. Come on, England. Get the C's out. He said it, though. He said it. He actually said it. The programme was not being broadcast live and was instead pre-recorded, meaning editors had the opportunity to bleep out the offending word but didn't. Wow. I mean, of all the words in all the town, you had to go and say that one. That's just crazy. I mean, we let category C's and B's out on this. We let category C's out on this show. A B would get, a slap on the wrist, and an A would get a dump and an apology, just to be sure. But no one in their right mind, even on TV, you can't. You have to. I think you do. I know you had to, unless they've changed it. If there was a C word in a television show, they had to give out a special warning before the show. So if it was like lots of F's and S's, they would say, "And tonight's show contains strong language." But if it had a C bomb in it, it would say something like, and viewers should be warned that tonight's show contains extra strong language. Extra strong. I know, because we had a C-bomb on the 11 o'clock show that, and the producers didn't tell Channel 4, and they went nuts. Despite a brief warning before the show and another from Mr. Young during the show, many listeners were shocked. How do we know they were shocked? They went on Twitter or Facebook. Thomas Pinches. That's his name. That's actually his name. Thomas Pinches wrote on Facebook, "Whoa! Radio 4 just dropped the C-bomb at 11:15. Whoa there, Mr. Pinches. There is no official watershed on the radio as there is on TV. Aye. Though BBC guidelines state the use of strong language depends less on time of day than on editorial merits and signposting of programme content. That would have been a tough one to explain to the kids in the car, wouldn't it? That would have been a tough one. What was I watching the other day? And it was when I took the boys to see the Bare Naked Ladies. There was the S-bomb was dropped a few times. They were a rock and roll band guys. Of course they're going to do that. Luckily the boys didn't pick up on it. Otherwise I'd have been in dead trouble. But if the C-bomb in the car, a BBC spokesman said, "This is a documentary exploring the impact." What I can tell you now, whatever their justification is, it's wrong. It's wrong. You shouldn't have the C word at 11:15. I don't think you should have it on the radio at all, but this is a documentary exploring the impact of the Brexit vote on Eastern Europeans in the UK and doesn't shy away from reflecting the reality faced by some of them. Radio 4 has an adult audience and warnings of strong language were broadcast before and during the programme. The incident follows... Oh, here we go. Now here comes the attack on the BBC. The incident follows use of the C word in historical drama Wolf Hall, broadcast on BBC Two last year. Regulator Ofcom received multiple complaints over the strong language. I'm guessing those complaints weren't upheld because it doesn't say the complaints were upheld. A complaint to Ofcom, don't do it, but it doesn't mean anything. A complaint to Ofcom means nothing unless it's upheld. So saying, well, yeah, there were loads of complaints made to Ofcom. OK, were they upheld? Well, I don't know. Ofcom don't make their findings public. Yes, they do. Could you go and have a look, please, to see if the complaint... Because if the complaint was upheld, you got an issue. Hang on a minute. Going back to the quote, Rick Parfitt has got a pension that pays just £600 a month. Sorry? What? He also hopes to be able to record in the with a pension paying just £600 a month. He's under pressure to keep earning to support his children. Oh, he's got ex-wives, hasn't he? That's why. Oh, yeah. I can't pay any more pensions. It's only £600 a month. Hang on. You're in status quo. Yeah, I know, but the pension, so probably going to have to leave it there. In it.
The wild man of late night radio is back.
Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Did it. So anyway, when we first started here at Talk Radio, all those months ago, we got loads of really exciting guests in and really cool guests, and who do we have? John Sebastian and all kinds of people. And Roger McGuinn, he was a bit dry, if I'm completely honest. That was an awkward interview. Anyway, we thought we might play one or two of them again, just because a lot of you won't have heard them. So indulge me. This interview is we did in April. It is with the brilliant John Ronson. Oh, and the thing that's been bugging me about the whole interview for all this time is I never really set it up as to who he was. So, John Ronson worked with Frank Sidebottom. He's also written some brilliant books, including Them, The Psychopath Test. A book came out, I guess, last year. So You've Been Publicly Shamed. And he wrote The Men Who Stare at Goats, which was turned into a movie with George Clooney in, I think. And he also wrote Frank, the movie, which isn't really about Frank Sidebottom. Anyway, I'm a huge fan, and here is me talking to John Ronson.
I like Carmen and Domingo dancing for French cameras, kicking up her fat white eyes. She looks at me and suddenly there's water in my eyes. smoke and all your dirt makes me think of you sometimes. Lying on my own with water in my eyes.
Seriously, guys, it's the best song you've never heard. And why are we playing this before John Ronson comes on? Well, John Ronson's on the line from New York. Hi, John. How you doing?
Hey, Ian. How are you?
I'm really pleased to talk to you. Don't worry. We'll let you go. I know you've got to go and pick up your wife from something.
Well, pretty soon. But I tell you what, hearing that song just now was so great. If only we could have got that song played on the radio back in the day when the Man from Del Monte could have been big stars.
They almost were. The Man from Del Monte were one of those. They were kind of one of those also run bands. They were big in the indie charts. They were big. They were bigger than Pulp for a while.
Yeah, you know, we used to play shows in Manchester where we were being supported by the Inspiral Carpets at 808 Staten. And we were on the cusp of greatness. And I think I don't need to tell you listeners, because every single listener who just heard that bit of Water in My Eyes would agree with me that it's like a great song.
Oh, yeah.
And it saddens me and mystifies me to this day, because I believe in a meritocratic society where good people are rewarded. Yet the Man from Del Monte was never rewarded for being so great.
You were their manager, and me and my friend Malcolm Richmond, we discovered them, and they were our band, right? And we loved them, and we would always, we lived in Slough, we'd travel up to London to go and see them. We had all the vinyl, I've still got them in a box somewhere, and all of the stuff that came out. And you were their manager. How did you end up managing a band?
I saw them in London. It was like a Damascus moment. So I was the social secretary of the Polytechnic of Central London, which is also how I ended up joining Frank Sidebottom's band. And so I was shadowing my predecessor, and I was at a sound check, and the Man from Del Monte were playing, and I just thought, this band is going to be huge, and I want to be in on it. So I mean, in a way, I'm quite glad it never happened, because I would have spent my life in the music business, which would have been so depressing. But I just thought this band's going to be massive, and lots of other people did too. It wasn't just you. The band James were big champions of the Man from Del Monte, and you know, there was a moment because I tell you what I think the problem was. Well, A, I was a terrible manager. I kind of managed them into the ground. And B, there was a kind of class thing. Like, the band was perceived to be sort of middle class, even though, I mean, they weren't, but they were perceived to be middle class. And it was just at the time when the Stone Roses and Happy Mondays and all of that lot, who were, you know, very much kind of working class bands, came up. And any group perceived to be kind of middle class had to, change fast or die, and we died.
But I remember they were on the video for, it was either that or Louise was on the chart show, and we got very excited.
Yeah, we made it to the chart show. We made it to a few things. We played in Barcelona with the Darling Buds.
Wow.
And
and I met you, and I think I've mentioned this before, backstage when they were playing at the Marquee, and I was a very drunk 15 or 16-year-old, very, very drunk, and you had a Monkees T-shirt on. Of course, I'm obsessed with the Monkees, and I remember, I think I was probably quite gobby, so I probably owe you an apology.
It's fine. You're forgiven.
Good.
They were good to answer. I'd do anything to get the Man from Del Monte to have some kind of renaissance, because they were so great.
I'm always banging on about them.
Maybe this was the moment. Maybe this was the tipping point. You playing Water in My Eyes just now.
That's it. We can let it go. And the reason we saw them is because we came to see Frank Sidebottom at what was London Central Poly. And it was again. I was obsessed with Frank, and Frank was one of those things, one of those acts, those turns that divided people. My sister, who's listening now in New Zealand, hated him, didn't get it at all, and just thought it was childish and ridiculous. Whereas, you know, the people in the know thought he was he was a genius, I think.
He was a genius, he really was. There was a kind of strange, surreal genius to what he did. And I think you'd only... I was lucky enough to be in Frank Sidebottom's band, I think, at his kind of height, where... we were quite terrible, but we were terrible in this really endearing way. People fell in love with us. We were playing in front of crowds of 2,000, And then I think what the problem was that Chris, who was like underneath Frank's head, decided to make the band more mainstream, thought we can't carry on just being terrible, so taught us all to play properly, and we kind of jumped the shark, and that's what killed us. But I was there just before all of that happened, when we were kind of sort of weird, shambolic oddness. I mean, maybe some people listening don't know what we're talking about with Frank Sidebottom.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to describe beyond. It was a brilliant songwriter hiding behind a giant paper mache head, and pretending that he wasn't a brilliant songwriter.
Yeah, and also we did lots of cover versions. We always did cover versions of slightly pompous songs, and which Frank would then do in this kind of plinkety-plonk way. So we would reduce great pompous anthems to kind of stupid parochial songs about living in Timperley in Manchester. And throughout it all, he wore a big fake head that he never took off. And I tell you what, Ian, nothing makes a young man feel more alive than cruising up the motorway at 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting next to a man wearing a big fake head. Because sometimes he would keep the head on for like hours and hours, even when he wasn't on stage. And he was Frank. You couldn't call him Chris when he wore the head. He wouldn't respond. You had to call him Frank. And so suddenly at like the age of 19, I felt like Alice through the looking glass. I'd be in like a van at 3 o'clock in the morning, cruising up the motorway next to a man wearing a big fake head.
Did you? I'm sure you must have done. I had a couple of times the pleasure of hearing Frank Sidebottom swear. Very drunk Frank Sidebottom swearing.
I don't remember Frank being drunk. I certainly remember Chris being drunk. There was a wayward side.
The last gig I did with him, it was at the 100 Club, and there were only about, as there often were, unfortunately, there were about 40 people there, and I was comparing, and Chris was steaming drunk. I mean, steaming, and he was being so charming though. He was hilarious backstage, playing like blues songs and stuff. And he went out as Frank, and he was meant to do 20 minutes. 45 minutes later, the promoter said, "You've got to get him off because I've got to close up." So I had to go on, and it was wonderful. It was such a good performance. And he said, "All right, sorry, boss. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just going to go and sit at the edge of the stage and sell badges." And he did, and it was joyous to watch.
You know, my favourite Frank gig was it was at JB's in Dudley, and there was about 20 people in the audience, and at one point during the show, one of them got out a ball, and the audience split into two teams, and completely ignoring us, started to play a game of football. And every so often, the ball would go up onto the stage, and one of us would, considerately kick it back while we carried on playing. And at the end of the show, we went backstage, and Frank, I remember our bass player was seething because he was quite a muso, so he was seething. And Frank, he took off the head, and Chris went, "Best show we ever played."
Oh, fantastic. And there aren't, I mean, I don't go to comedy clubs anymore. Seeing 10 stand-ups in a row, I can't think of anything more tedious. Yeah. But there aren't any more turns like that, that are, I mean, I know Frank was unique, but also in the 80s, there were kind of these variety acts that would, I remember seeing a guy called Jimbo, who was this old guy, I don't know if he must be dead now, and he would do an act pretty much to silence. And the last 3 or 4 minutes was him stood there, just saying nothing, letting it sink in that he'd failed. And he'd put on his jacket very slowly, pick up his bag, and he'd just walk out of the venue. And it was so delightful. And there's nothing like that, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are acts like that still, but I'm slightly behind. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, there was Malcolm Hardy, who would urinate on the audience. And Chris Lynham, who's
Chris Lynham! Chris Lynham!
Remember him? His act would climax in him sticking a firework in his arse and lighting it. And then there was the great musical acts like John Otway and Wild Willie Barrett, who were kind of quite similar to Frank Sidebottom in their way. These are great times. These are certainly for me my formative years. I'd just left Cardiff, where everything was boring in my life, and I was in a world of those people.
I'll go back in a bit, but the film Frank was it was a massive success, wasn't it?
Well, I mean,
or was it not?
Well, I mean, it wasn't the success that the guy who directed its next film was, because he then made Room, which got nominated for all those Oscars.
Yes.
So yes. I sometimes worry that Frank is going to be like a footnote in Room's history. But I really, I mean, people, like last night I was walking down the street in New York, and somebody came up to me, like in the darkness, and recognised me and said Frank was his favourite film.
Wow.
So there are people out there who feel that way, and it was certainly kind of beloved by critics.
It's beautiful. It's stunning. Were you surprised? Because there was a little bit of a backlash from Sidebottom fans who went, yeah, but hang on, he's got an American accent. Because it wasn't actually about Frank Sidebottom, was it? Just looked like him.
No, and you know what? I mean, to be completely honest, if there'd been more of a backlash, I wouldn't have been surprised. Because, you know, it was a gamble what happened with the movie, that we took, you know, this kind of fantastic real life beloved person, Frank Sidebottom, with Chris's blessing. This is with Chris's blessing, and kind of amalgamated him with other outsider artists like Daniel Johnston, who's a great bipolar singer-songwriter, and Captain Beefheart, and we kind of created this kind of fictional outsider artist who was a bit of all of these people. So I can understand why hardcore Sidebottom fans might have seen that as a betrayal. But what made me very happy when we were writing Frank was realising that there was this documentary, Being Frank, was also going to be made, and so I thought, well, that's okay. Like if people want the Frank Sidebottom story, they'll get Being Frank, and if people want this kind of sort of dream type, weird, surreal sort of dreamscape of a movie, then they can see our movie, and the two things can live together fine. So I think most people were fine with it. Obviously a couple of people felt it should have been more about Frank.
Yeah, of course. But it's stunning. For those who've not seen it, it's stunning. And I think it's wonderful. And funnily enough, I was talking to Steve Sullivan, who's doing the Being Frank documentary. We were emailing each other today. He's got it down now to a nifty 11 hours, 18 minutes.
He's got to sort himself out. I've been saying this to them for years. Just finish it. God, kill your babies and just finish it.
Guys, if you do nothing else, go and buy the Man from Del Monte CD. Honestly, I love it. I love it. I'm going to be listening to this on the way home. John Ronson's on the line. John, thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate that. You're very approachable, aren't you? I've been to a couple of your talks and stuff, and you kind of make a point of sort of being there so that people can come and say hello and stuff. Is that? Do you find that a bit intimidating?
Not intimidating. I mean, I spend most of my life, like all writers, I spend most of my life completely alone. So my real life is being totally alone in a room. So it's nice once in a while, if I'm going off to do a talk, to, put in the extra couple of hours at the end of it to meet everybody.
Now, I saw you recently. You were doing a week of shows at the Soho Theatre, and it was such a joy to see you and Louis Theroux.
You heard that one. That was a lovely one.
It was a lovely one. There was, at the first 20 minutes, there did feel a little bit like you were kind of sussing each other out. I have no idea how well you know Louis at all, but it felt a little bit, you were both a little bit unsure.
Yeah, well, we used to always be compared to each other for years and years, like throughout the 90s. Like, I couldn't read any article about anything that I did without being compared to Louis. Louis, sometimes, there'd be articles written about him which didn't, where he wasn't compared to me, which just made me even more annoyed. And then, so there was definitely some competitiveness, and to the extent that I think a little bit of hostility grew between us, which wouldn't have happened if we weren't being compared to each other all the time. I used to joke on stage that we were like kind of conjoined twins, and that for one of us to grow stronger, the other must die. And I've never done anything with Louis after all of these years, and so then I decided to do like 5 nights at the Leicester Square Theatre, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to just have one of the nights as just a conversation between me and him, and so I suppose there was a slight wariness at the beginning, but not for long. Right? It ended off everyone moving kind of nice.
It was brilliant. It was a joy. You're right. It was Leicester Square, not so, and it was a joy to watch. And it was interesting because you are similar in styles. I also think you're similar to Nick. Why has my mind gone blank? Broomfield. Yeah, the three of you. When I say similar, I don't mean identical, but that you have similarities. The three of you.
I think there's differences too, though. I think Louis is more interested in being kind of confrontational than I am. I don't want to be confrontational with people because I don't really want to see myself as a kind of representative of normal, or righteous society, because I think that brings with it its own problems. So I'm much more interested in kind of being entirely empathetic. And this, I love Louis' stuff, and in fact I watched a whole bunch of things I hadn't seen before in preparation for that Leicester Square show, and I really admired, like, you know, what he did, especially his film about the Westboro Baptist Church, which I think is absolutely brilliant, like so empathetic. So I think when Louis does that, that's what I love the most, is when he kind of eschews confrontation and instead just goes for empathy. But I'm biased because that's what I like to do.
You showed. I can't wait for his Scientologist documentary to come out, if it ever does. But you showed an interesting clip where he ends up kind of shouting at a Scientologist, which is kind of unusual for him and for anyone in that position.
Yeah, very brave. So basically the Scientologists are kind of filming him, so he starts filming them, and they end up just kind of shouting at each other. And yeah, when I spent time with the Scientologists for the psychopath test, and I made the decision to not be at all confrontational with them, to see what would happen in that situation, and, you know, what would happen if I'm kind of with them and I'm not out to get them. And actually, amazing things happened. They got me into Broadmoor to meet this guy, Tony, who claimed he'd faked madness to escape a prison sentence. And none of that would have happened if I hadn't been nice to the Scientologists. But however, you know, Louis got something really interesting in sort of prodding the Scientologists. So I think both approaches get something interesting, but, you know, I'm sort of happy with my approach.
How did it happen? How did you go from, you know, being the keyboardist in Frank's band and managing a band and to making documentaries for the TV, and then writing books, and then writing screenplays? It seems I'm missing the link, the bit in the middle.
Actually, I do know what the link is. It was this magazine in Manchester called City Life, and lots of members of the Man from Del Monte, as well as Mark Commode, and you know, everybody, they all kind of gravitated towards City Life because it was the only way we could earn any money, because there wasn't any money in indie music or papier-mâché heads at the time. Not that there was that much money in writing for City Life. You get like 40 quid for interviewing a movie star. So I started writing for City Life, and it just became obvious that I was better at that. I was better at that than I was at being in a band or managing a band, and it came naturally to me. So I sent some City Life stuff down to London, and that got me work with The Guardian, and then that got me like a column at Time Out, and then that got me a TV show, and then I started directing documentaries, and that led to the books, and so on.
And how do you come up with what your next book is going to be? Do you kind of have 3:00 in the morning, you wake up and go, I'm going to do psychopaths, or I'm going to do shaming, or is it you're just kind of investigating and things sort of come together?
Yeah, I always remember Adam Curtis, who's like my kind of mentor, the documentary maker, always said to me, don't go for themes, go for stories. Just do stories, and something will emerge. So that's what I do now. I just sort of look for interesting stories in the hope that some kind of eureka moment will emerge. So it's never like, with one exception actually, when I was doing the Ministeric Goats, that was kind of deliberate. Like, I wanted to write about irrational thought in powerful places, and then I just spent ages looking for an appropriate story that would be about that, and I ended up with the Ministeric Goats. But most of the time, no, I'm doing stories, and I'm meeting people, and finally, like, I think, oh, that's interesting, I never thought of that. I always want some kind of mystery. It could either be like a specific mystery, so that the dogs are barking. It could either be like a specific mystery. I hope it's not an intruder.
Oh gosh, no, don't.
Yeah, I know.
It's New York, it could be. No, don't. I'm not even going to play that game, so I know you get worried about that. No.
Yeah, I do. Or just me not understanding, like, something about how the world works. Like, why? So that was with my most recent book about public shaming, so you've been publicly shamed. Like, I didn't understand why we were acting on social media in kind of increasingly cruel ways, and so that was the mystery I wanted to solve. And then with the psychopath test, the mystery was, is it true what psychiatrists say, that psychopaths rule the world? Like, that's such a huge thought. And when I really don't know the answer to a question, that's what sort of leads me to go off and try and solve the mystery.
You're off Twitter now. If I wasn't working on a brand new radio station with hardly any listeners, start-up station, a new show, I would love to get rid of Twitter because I hate it. I think it brings out the worst in other people. It brings out the worst in me. And reading your Shane book, I am really trying to monitor my behaviour on Twitter. But I find myself saying things and retweeting things that actually I wouldn't want to say or do. Twitter's a weird place, isn't it?
It is weird. It's because, you know, at the heart of a lot of the shamings that people like us get involved in is a kind of righteousness. You know, we're good, liberal, compassionate people. We want to end racism. We want to end misogyny. We want to end like systemic failings and so on. And then you see somebody who is perceived to have kind of transgressed in those ways, and good people are going for that person, so we go for that person too, and then it kind of escalates and escalates and escalates, and the next thing you know, we're disproportionately punishing somebody who didn't really do that much wrong. We're making that person responsible for some kind of systemic failing, and then we ruin them, we get them fired, because everybody's terrified of social media, so if we call for somebody to be fired, they get fired. And then what often happens is the next day we find out that the information was all wrong and that person didn't do anything wrong at all, and now they're in tatters. Over and over again it happens.
Yeah, it does, and I mean, it seems to bring out some people are doing it for righteousness, but also it brings out arseholes as well. To be completely honest, doesn't it?
Yeah, like awful kind of hipsters who just don't care about anything. They're just, you know, interested in the kind of joy of doing it. I mean, it's just like I mean, I noticed it the other day with Gay Talese. I mean, he was. You know, the great, you know, legendary journalist Gay Talese was reported as saying some kind of really hoary old, you know, misogynistic nonsense. And so he was, you know, people just went for him in you know, very hurtful ways. And then, you know, 2 days later, it turns out that he was, you know, misquoted, and his transgression was nowhere near as bad as the way it was reported on Twitter, which is, you know, like the world's worst information swapping service. We're constantly getting stuff wrong. Yeah, it happens every single day. I mean, I'm sick of it. You know, you know, today it's happening to Stephen Fry, who did, you know, say something, or is quoted as saying something pretty unwise today. But, you know, day after day after day, and all of this is creating, you know, what people don't understand, I think, is that shamings are always about something more than the transgression. There's the transgression, but there's also the reason why all these disparate groups, you know, leap on somebody and tear them apart. And then there's what is this doing to the world? And what it's doing is creating this frightened, conservative, conformist society where everybody's thinking twice before they write something. And, you know, all the initial joy of the sort of curiousness of Twitter has gone out the window.
Oh, I think
it's just fear.
Yeah, I think it's an unpleasant place, but I get to speak to members of the Monkeys through it, so that I quite like it for. But the rest of it is pretty poor. John, very quickly, are you allowed to tell us what you're working on now? Is it hush hush, or are you?
Well, I'll tell you in the kind of broadest way. I'm working on a really interesting project about sex.
Oh, well.
But I don't want to say anything more about what it is. Okay. But it's really good. I mean, right now it's really good. I mean, who knows how it's going to be in a few months' time, but I'm really excited about it.
It's so nice to talk to you, John, and thank you so much for coming on. And the few times we met, you've always been so charming to me, so thank you very much.
Oh, Ian, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for being charming too.
Thank you, mate. JohnRonson.com if you want to go and find out more. John, thank you very much indeed. Go and pick up your wife. JohnRonson.com. Just any of his books are a delight. Ones to dip into? Oh, I don't know. Frank is good. They're all good. They're all good books. So go and have a look. John, thank you very much indeed. 0844 499 1000 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Oh, and go and buy The Man from Del Monte. If you like kind of jangly late 80s, early 90s pop, go and buy The Man from Del Monte CD. It'll be on Amazon you can probably get it for pennies.
Talk Radio. Dial up some dialogue.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.